There's a guy 6'6", 340 in Miami who would look great.
I know.
Blocking for Joe.
I think you don't tell Joe we're not playing you when he wants to play. No, and plus that helps my ability to win games, which I want to prove. I'm Zach Taylor. I say, Joe, what do you think?
But by not playing Joe,
now you're
going to help your ability to protect Joe next year.
Right.
With a higher draft pick.
I don't know. Again, listen, all these draft plans, you thought, I need Travis Hunter. I want Travis Hunter. You want it with Will Campbell. How's that working out for you?
I mean, it's been great.
Yes, right. So,
yeah.
Best laid plans, what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess.
Get into the Hyundai Getaway sales event and get away with a deal so right, it almost feels wrong. Because right now, you can get a great deal on our most popular models, including our adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid models. There's also our bold and stylish Elantra, packed with all the latest tech. Or go all-electric with the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. So get down to your local Hyundai dealer and get away with an awesome deal only during the Hyundai Getaway sales event. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for details.
Out here, days are getting a little cooler, and mornings are starting with a few more layers. It's the season for more time at the grill, more feed for your animals. Heaters burn late into the night, and the woods start calling your name. We appreciate hard-working hands, shared moments, and love for our land. That's why season after season, we're here for your life out here. Tractor Supply. You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, and also streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. You could also find us on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, is going to join us coming up at the top of the hour at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So we're looking forward to that conversation. We'll get into Stu's Stinky Raiders coming up in a little bit later on in the show. We'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys having a good offensive performance last night. We'll mix in a ton on the NFL, and we will start in the world of college football. I am fascinated today on this Tuesday, on the 18th day of November in the year of 2025, as to what Lane Kiffin will do and what Kenny Dillingham will do. We now know that James Franklin is off the board. James Franklin is off to Virginia Tech. So James Franklin was not going to LSU. He's not going to Florida. He's not going to Auburn. He's not going to Arkansas. Like any job that he was speculated for, I also think it means that Mike Norvell is going to be safe at Florida State. Could they still get rid of him? But there was a theory that, okay, James Franklin knew, and it was the worst kept secret, that Virginia Tech was willing to do whatever it takes to go get James Franklin. And James Franklin knew he had Virginia Tech in his back pocket, which, quite frankly, it is a really good fit for the coach that is James Franklin. But is Virginia Tech the biggest job? No. So if you were probably not going to land at another Big Ten school, or you weren't going to land at another SEC school, and I thought it would have been foolish for James Franklin to go to another Big Ten school or stay or go to the SEC, because I don't think James Franklin is a national championship winning coach. And if you're in the Big Ten or you're in the SEC, those are the two premier conferences. Those are the two power conferences. So the expectations, whether it was from day one or eventually down the road, would be to win a national championship at either of those programs. Like when James Franklin talks about, oh, we'll just go win a national championship somewhere else. When it gets announced yesterday that he's the head football coach at Virginia Tech, does anyone for a second think that James Franklin's winning a national championship at Virginia Tech? No. But with that being said, he could go to Virginia Tech and do something eerily similar to what he did at Penn State, win not 8 to 10 games a year, win a Big Ten championship, which he did one time, and you could go to the ACC and you win 8 to 10 games a year at Virginia Tech. In the year of 2026 and moving on, they'll bow down to you. And if you win one ACC championship, they're going to be doing cartwheels in the streets. So I thought for a second that James Franklin was going to wait. And James Franklin was going to have a deadline. And the one thing he needed to hear, or the one thing he needed to see, was Florida State not move off of Mike Norvell. And Mike Norvell was basically issued a warning shot by his AD when his AD a few weeks ago came out and said, Mike Norvell is our coach until the end of the season, and then we'll reevaluate. You know what that means? Hey, boosters, fork over the dinero. And if you could fork over the dinero, the 50-something million dollars, we will fire Mike Norvell. But if you don't, then he's going to remain our head football coach. They're gonna use the money as an excuse. And we had Tommy Bowden on this show. He said Florida State, I think it was 2 weeks ago, doesn't have the money, and he anticipates Mike Norvell to come back. So, James Franklin going into the weekend knew, I'm going to put it out there that I'm in talks with Virginia Tech. And everyone ran with it. That deal was already done. He had the contract. It was getting looked over. Like, he knew if he wanted the job, he could take it. But that was the one last shot heading into the weekend. Let me be the story. And then is there any back channel, or maybe they just call up his agent, communication with Florida State? What's your update? Because if you were James Franklin, you could land at Florida State. It's kind of a Venn diagram where it's like, okay, you went to Penn State. It's on one side. You built them back up. You did a good job at Penn State, but when you needed to go compete for a national championship, you came up short of that goal. And then going to Virginia Tech is, okay, it's in the ACC. You're not going to win a national championship. You could go be good, and good there will be viewed as great. And those are the two sides. And if you blend Penn State and Virginia Tech together, it's kind of the Florida State job, where you could be the head coach at Florida State, and you could say, hey, we're going to go win a national championship, and it's more believable at Florida State than it would be going to Virginia Tech, right? And you're in the ACC, so it's not a premier conference. It's not the Big Ten in the SEC. Florida State, which is a huge job filled with tradition, that would be the middle of Penn State and Virginia Tech. That would be the middle of the Venn diagram. So James Franklin was waiting and waiting and waiting, and you could only wait so much because James Franklin's going to have all these recruits that were lined up to go to Penn State. I'm not saying all of them are going to go, but there's going to be a good number of recruits that he had, whether his current players at Penn State or former players stay at Penn State, or these recruits that wanted to commit to him and did commit to him. Now a lot of them are going to say, even though Penn State's a bigger brand than Virginia Tech, I fell in love with Coach Franklin. If the money's there and Virginia Tech has money, in a world of name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal and all that stuff, and those guys aren't, officially, right, locked into Penn State, some of them, it's going to be very easy if they want to follow Coach James Franklin to do so. And it's kind of crazy the world that we live in, that a school in Virginia Tech can now steal away from Penn State. And we could talk about Lane Kiffin, because we've got off the name of James Franklin. Now everyone's jumping in on the name of Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin, to me, is a better coach than James Franklin. I think Lane Kiffin can win a national championship. I don't think James Franklin can win a national championship. But now everyone is centered around, okay, the Franklin domino has fallen. What's LSU doing? What's Florida doing? Is the Lane train going to be staying put in Oxford, Mississippi? And that also even highlights the new world that we're in now. Could you imagine 5 years ago telling someone the head football coach at Ole Miss could be highly coveted by Florida? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm good. Or that the head coach at Ole Miss could be highly coveted by LS freaking U, that has had three separate coaches since 2000. Saban, Miles, Ed Orgeron, go Tigers, win national championships. And Lane Kiffin, we live in a world where he could say thanks, but no thanks. So now the reporting is, according to On3, that Ole Miss, their athletic director, they have issued a deadline to Lane Kiffin. And it's November 28th, the day of the Egg Bowl, right? Ole Miss, Mississippi State. You got to give us a answer by then, right? That was the deadline. We talked about this story yesterday. Now, Lane Kiffin, there's also been reporting that his family over the weekend, I guess Sunday and then leading into Monday, I guess one day the family was in Gainesville and the next day the family was in Baton Rouge, right? Not Lane, at least from what I've seen, but his family. I think it was his ex-wife was checking out some of the places too. So the full court press has been on for now 2 years, it seems like, in Gainesville. And now the LSU Tiger family is recruiting Lane Kiffin as well. And I said this yesterday. I said, I feel like it's 50-50. And yesterday I leaned that Lane Kiffin was going to leave Ole Miss. Today I wake up and I go, hold on. As we try to search through all these reports and decipher what's true and what's false. Is Florida interested in Lane Kiffin? Absolutely. Is LSU interested in Lane Kiffin? Absolutely. But this report about the deadline makes me say, something seems up. You know, if you're Ole Miss and you're really concerned about losing Lane Kiffin, and you know you're Ole Miss and you're competing in the same pool as Florida and LSU, are you really going to try to big you-know-what Lane Kiffin here? We're going to force you into a decision and we're going to make a deadline. Because if that's the case, wouldn't Lane Kiffin just be like, you're not telling me what to do? I'm going to do this on my terms. Look what I've done at Ole Miss. I could go to a place like Florida. I could go to a place like LSU. That is viewed as a better job. So that report coming on out, and I'm going to take the report as true, even though Lane Kiffin denied it. We'll get to it in just a second. I think the Kiffin camp is behind that report in some capacity. I do. Or I think it's that the Ole Miss camp is behind that report in some capacity. And I don't know if a deadline was actually given, but I do believe that's a dog and pony show that goes on if Ole Miss or Lane Kiffin is confident and believes that they're going to stay or he's going to stay at Ole Miss. Because you could float out there if it's coming from the Ole Miss side, hey, look, Florida and LSU wanted him, and Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin said thanks, but no thanks, I'm staying at Ole Miss. Or if you're Lane Kiffin, you could float this out there. Yeah, they're going to impose a deadline, right? But I got interest in Florida. I got interest in LSU. You know, maybe he's playing along on this front that, yeah, I'm entertaining Florida, I'm entertaining LSU, and maybe there's a few more things that he wants. And that's how he uses it as leverage from now until November 28th. But I thought long and hard about this last night, and I slept on it. And then I woke up today, and when I woke up today, I'm now thinking to myself that Lane Kiffin's actually going to stay at Ole Miss. I think it's a flip of the coin. And when the coin gets flipped in the air today, heads he stays, tails he goes, I think it lands on heads today. So I'm believing right now that Lane Kiffin is going to be staying at Ole Miss. And I'll probably wake up tomorrow and think he's going to Florida. And then I'll probably wake up on Thursday and think he's going to LSU. And then on Friday, I think he'll be back at Ole Miss. But right now today, if you say, Zach, gun to your head, is Lane Kiffin back at Ole Miss next year? I'm going to reluctantly, nervously say yes. I think he's back at Ole Miss. But I don't think you mess with happiness right now. And also, if something is good enough, I don't think in this climate now of name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal that you need to go get the quote-unquote bigger job if you have the smaller job and things are humming. Think about this. Kurt Signetti said, yeah, I'm good on Penn State. I'm going to stay at Indiana. There is a world where Lane Kiffin says, yeah, I'm good in Oxford, Mississippi. I'm not going to Gainesville. I'm not going to Baton Rouge. Signetti's already a fact. Lane Kiffin is a legitimate possibility. Now, Kenny Dillingham was talking all big after his game over the weekend. And Kenny Dillingham basically said that he was staying as the head football coach of Arizona State. Now, this is a tale going back years and years and years, as old as time, where we've had head football coaches saying they're not leaving and then they leave. Remember Nick Saban? I will not be the head football coach at Alabama. Yeah, how did that one work out? With that being said, I thought the Dillingham stuff wasn't as believable as Brent Key. Like when Brent Key sits there and goes on a rant, cut me open and see what colors I bleed. And those guys are in similar situations, both at their schools that they went to college for and now are the head coaches. I believe Brent Key. When I've heard Kenny Dillingham speak about this stuff, I don't know how much I believe it. But we could do the Windhorse fingers here. And maybe these two things are connected, maybe they're not, but what does it tell you? There's a report today, and this is from On3, that Arizona State star QB Sam Leavitt and his return to the program of Arizona State in 2026 is doubtful. Leavitt's camp is actively shopping the talented passer at a high level. So I know that Levitt got hurt and he's out for the season. Levitt, it doesn't appear like he's going to go back to the, going to go to the NFL draft. He could go back to Arizona State or he could go somewhere else. So what Levitt and Dillingham have as a partnership has been successful. Why leave it? Well, maybe you're leaving it because you know that your coach is leaving, or you think your coach is leaving, or you could be a package deal and go somewhere else together. So let's say, even though I never thought James Franklin was going to land at LSU, but I thought he could potentially land at Florida. But with James Franklin off the board, and let's just say Lane Kiffin stays at Ole Miss, Kenny Dillingham will then become a hot commodity. Kenny Dillingham is young, energetic, and look what he's been able to do just in the last 2 seasons at Arizona State. I think Kenny Dillingham could get Florida. I think Kenny Dillingham could get LSU. And if you're Kenny Dillingham, is it plausible to then bring Sam Levitt to LSU or bring Sam Levitt to the Swamp? Absolutely. Is it also plausible that Kenny Dillingham goes to Florida, Kenny Dillingham goes to LSU, and he has a different quarterback than Sam Levitt? Yes. And if that's the case, if you're Sam Levitt, who's supposed to be a big-time quarterback, why would you then stay at Arizona State? So let's just hear how some of these coaches have handled these things. This is Kenny Dillingham, over the weekend, reaffirming that he is staying at Arizona State.
I was never leaving, Greg. Contrary to the betrayal article, I was never leaving. I never said I was leaving. This is home, but you do have to continue to push. And my job running a program is to push and push and push until you can't push anymore. And so Graham was right. We met on Friday with our admin and people who represent Dr. Crow, and I have a lot of confidence that they're all in. I have a lot of confidence that our administration is pushing the chips to the table on winning in football here.
So that's him basically saying, I never said I'm leaving, right? So that would give me the indication that you're staying. Well, then, if you're staying, you have a good relationship with your quarterback. Why is there this report out there, unless the report's just fake news, and maybe it is, I don't know. But why is there then a report that your quarterback's trying to go elsewhere? Oh, maybe it's just, okay, he's done with the chapter, and it's not 2 and 2 are together. Like, maybe Kenny Dillingham is going to be the lone survivor at Arizona State. And next year, Sam Levitt's going to be somewhere else. Or maybe Sam Levitt doesn't believe that Kenny Dillingham is staying, and he's shopping himself to either join Kenny Dillingham elsewhere or maybe just break off from his head football coach. I just think it's something to monitor, where I don't think it's just, oh, gee golly, this is out of the blue that there's a report today that Sam Levitt is looking to go elsewhere. Well, why is that? Well, maybe what his coach was trying to sell us over the weekend wasn't actually true. Now, here is Lane Kiffin today. This is on the Pat McAfee show. And I like Pat. Pat used to work here. I understand Pat's show is very successful, and Pat is not a big J journalist, all right? He goes on the show. It's not going to be a traditional interview, and he's going to let the guests get away with some things. I would have pressed Lane Kiffin a little bit more. Maybe that's why Lane Kiffin's on Pat's show, and he's not coming on the Zach Gelb show, even though we have a good relationship with Ole Miss. And I will praise the Ole Miss sports information directors, because they've given us some players through the years, and I always enjoy our conversations with the powers that be at Ole Miss. But this is Lane Kiffin on the Pat McAfee show. When Lane was asked, was he given, this is really only part of the conversation about his future, was he given an ultimatum by Ole Miss in order to have a decision by the end of the month on November 28th?
That's absolutely not true. There's been no ultimatum, anything like that at all. And so I don't know where that came from, like a lot of stuff that comes out there. Like I said, man, we're having a blast. I love it here. Our running back's sitting right over here. Come on over. And it just couldn't be better. Like I said, you pray for things. Our fans prayed for this type of thing, and now we're in the middle of it. So enjoy it. You're 10-1. You're getting ready. You got a bye week. You get to watch half the country lose, and there's no way we can lose Saturday. And then you play the Egg Bowl and go dominate that and keep that Egg Bowl trophy home where it's been for a long time.
I will tell you, when I hear that answer, part of me goes, he gone, right? Oh, let me ask about your future and this ultimatum that may have been issued by Ole Miss on a decision that they need from you by the Egg Bowl. Oh, yeah, bring my running back over here that has 19 touchdowns. Let's throw him right into the fire. The bus is backing up, and you're just trying to get out of the limelight and answering that question. But for some reason, I feel right now that Lane's going to stay. Will I crush him if he takes the Florida job? No. Will I crush him if he takes the LSU job? No. If it's Ole Miss or Florida, and if it was me, I would stay at Ole Miss. If it's Ole Miss and LSU, personally, I would go to LSU. But something is just saying in a little voice that goes off in my cabeza, it's saying, Zach, Lane is staying. He's staying at Ole Miss. That's what you're thinking today. I don't know if you'll think it that way in about an hour or even by tomorrow, but today, I'm telling you right now, he's staying. He's staying. He's staying. He's staying. That's what's going off in my cabeza. All righty, Stu. I think we're going to do this each and every day until the decision comes out. Where are you at today? Is Lane Kiffin staying at LSU or at Ole Miss? Yes or no?
I think he's leaving, and I still think he's going to LSU.
Okay. Chris Persianen? Will Lane Kiffin be staying at Ole Miss?
Zach, I think you committed a Freudian slip when you said staying at LSU. That's
you think
a
it's
question
already done?
For next year's radio show because that's where he'll be a year from now.
Okay. So Stu and Chris Persianen thinks he's going to LSU.
Roar.
Roar Tiger. Go Tiger. Go Tigers. They should just bring back Coach O for crying out loud. I miss Coach O.
Go Tigers.
Oh, that's just delicious. It really is hearing that guy say Go Tigers. Go Tigers. I loved how he said that after each and every interview. Phenomenal. I know. One of the more interesting, not even coach, just person that I've ever met. Oh, I love me some Edo. He's a good dude. All righty. What do you think Lane Kiffin's going to do? What do you think Kenny Dillingham's going to do? Is Kenny Dillingham back at Arizona State next year? Stu, yes or no?
I think Kenny is back at Arizona State.
Chris Persianen?
I think he's back because they've got some boosters recently. Arizona State, even on just the basketball side, they're getting money from I don't know where.
So why is there a report that the quarterback's looking to leave? Is that just challenging him? Like, hey, I could maybe leave. Give me more money.
You said it earlier.
Possibility.
You said it earlier. Hey, boosters. You like your head coach? Because we know you don't. You want a new one? Donate. It's the same thing. Hey.
Yeah, just reverse. They actually like these people.
Exactly. They like the coach. They like the QB. The QB's saying, hey, you like me?
Mm-hmm.
Pay me like it.
I think Kenny Dillingham's gone. I do.
Oh.
And I like him, but there's just the whole way he's approached this, just like Drinkowitz, Eli Drinkowitz. And there's nothing against him. I don't fault the coaches for leaving if they leave Arizona State and Missouri. But there's just something to me when they're talking about it. It doesn't seem sincere. It doesn't seem genuine like the way Brent Key talks about it. And maybe Brent Key's going to be the one that ends up stabbing us all in the back and misleading us. Maybe he's a master at that craft. All righty, we'll take a break. When we come on back, the Raiders don't have a coach or a quarterback. What else is new? Tell me another day that ends in Y. And can the Cowboys make a little bit of a playoff push? Is that about to happen? We'll discuss 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Tyrann Mathieu going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, the game last night kind of went how we expected it to go between the Raiders and the Cowboys. At first, I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, maybe the Raiders can make this a game unexpectedly just because of how bad the Cowboys defense is. But then once the Cowboys actually got going and George Pickens and also CeeDee Lamb were benched in the first drive, and we don't really know why they were benched, I would have to assume, Stu, and I know that Brian Schottenheimer wasn't going to throw his players under the bus afterwards. I'll tell you, Schotty, I'm actually impressed by him this year because I don't think the team is that good. And Jerry Jones, I know he made the moves at the deadline to go get Wilson over in the Bengals and then get Quinnen Williams. But when you trade one of your top 3 players before the start of the season, and it's on the defensive side of the ball, which is your biggest weakness, we all went from the Cowboys maybe saying, okay, at best it could be an 8 or 9 win team to like, oh, this is going to be 6 or 7 wins. But Schottenheimer, you see what I did right there? Yeah, Chris Persianen got it. That's how I know Chris Persianen is young. 6 or 7 wins. 6, 7. Are you tired? How old are you, Persianen? What are you, 24?
23, and did you know that the 2 cuts you used in hour 1 were cuts 6 and 7 on your cut sheet?
No, I did not, but no one else would notice that, but that's kind of funny right on cue. They are 6, 7.
Stu had me, I was like embarrassed because when Stu was like, yo, you got to have cuts 6 and 7 ready here, I was like, I can't giggle because then I'll be a child.
Percy Einen, well, you are a child, but Percy Einen looks over to Stu and just goes, 6'7"? And it probably went right over Stu's head 6 or 7 times as well. I was at the Pats-Jets game on Thursday night, and at one point the score was Patriots 6, Jets 7 before they hit the extra point. And I'm there with Ray Martell, right, who is a longtime producer and is now the executive producer of Mets Radio. And I don't know, Ray must be 50? I'm going to guess 50? Maybe mid to late 40s? I think Ray, though, just turned 50. I could be wrong on that. And then we were there with our buddy, the Chief, as the Chief is an excellent Patriot fan and tailgater, and he is 65 or 66 years old. And both of them in unison, I didn't say 66 or 67 years old there, Chris Persianen, but both them in unison, right? I am the youngest one of this bunch. I am 31 years old. I'm there with the 50-year-old and a 65 or 66-year-old, and they both go, 6'7", 6'7". And the kids sitting behind us, who were 20, 21, 22, they thought it was the funniest thing that those two old geezers knew what 6'7" was. But anyway, Stu, the Raiders, I watched them last night. I'm a little bit impressed by Brian Schottenheimer, just with the way that he's been able to salvage this season and not make it as dreadful as what it probably should have been. And, you know, I know Aikman laughed it off last night, and I'll do so as well. But when it gets asked him, I think it was by SVP after the game, and when he's talking to Aikman, and he goes, oh, can the Cowboys maybe get back in the mix and go on a playoff push here? We all kind of chuckle at it. But this could have been a lot worse than what it looked like it was going to be, especially with how bad the defense is. But with how bad the Cowboys defense is, how brutal Geno Smith looked last night, and how Pete Carroll, I feel bad for Pete Carroll. This is what happens when you stick around for too long and you're addicted to coaching. You had an unbelievable career. You won the Russell Wilson battle, and you've already won a Super Bowl. You're going to most likely be a Hall of Famer. You had all that winning, whether they'll acknowledge it or not, at USC. You should be enjoying life right now. You shouldn't be coaching football, and you shouldn't be coaching the Raiders, where when he gets the job, the expectation is, oh, just try to get them stabilized. Like, go have an 8 or a 9 win season just one time and just set it up for the next guy so when he takes over the job, he's not taking it over with nothing to build off of. Build up the house a little bit. But I'm watching this last night. The Raiders look lost. Geno Smith, he doubled down after having Pete Carroll a very successful time at the blackjack table. He's winning all this money for what happened at Seattle. And then he gets to the Raiders and he goes, oh, I still got a bunch of funds. Let me try to win a certain way at blackjack with that money. And I'm going to start betting bigger money and expecting me to win again. And guess what? Then you lose. Bringing in Geno Smith to the Raiders just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense like they should have been after Sam Darnold. You know, they should have been after at least a younger quarterback. But you're going with Geno Smith on a 2-year deal? He's cooked. He's done. That fairy tale, it's over. And now you got Pete Carroll there. He's not going to salvage this situation. And it's going to end in a... Like, honestly, I know it's the Raiders, and it would be tough to do this in back-to-back years because it would be back-to-back years of one-and-dones. I would get rid of Pete Carroll. I don't expect them to. I think he will absolutely be back next year. But where is this heading to? He has a 3-year timeline. Year 1 has been an unmitigated disaster. It's been brutal. Chip Kelly was a terrible hire. I said it right before the season started. Why would you bring in Chip Kelly? So you don't have an offensive coordinator, you don't have a head coach, and you don't have a quarterback. In the year of 2025, that means that you're going to have a lot of performance like we saw last night. Losing. Stu, is there any optimism? Right? At this point...
No, there's not. There's none.
Like, you're just sitting there and you go, oh, Zach, this is the same old Raiders. Did you expect anything different? Because if you did, shame on you, correct?
Yeah, and even like the exciting guys like Bowers, he's been hurt for most of the year. Genty, I mean, they can't block, so he can't do anything. He had 7 yards on 6 carries last night. Like, just a disaster. It's so bad, and I think you're kind of right. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think, you know, I think maybe they have to let him go and just start from scratch again.
Now, here's the other thing. We get to the Cowboys part of it. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, what did they do in Sin City on Sunday night? Because they were benched for the first drive of the game, right? Or like, what meeting did you miss? And that happened. Oh, I forget who else got benched. Oh, it was Keon Coleman. He was late to it for a team meeting, and he got benched for the entire game. They made him a healthy and active. Now, Keon Coleman is not George Pickens. Keon Coleman is not CeeDee Lamb. Like, those are guys that have proven track records in this league. George Pickens has been unbelievable for them this year, even when CeeDee Lamb was out. And CeeDee Lamb is one of the top 3 or 4 wide receivers, 3 to 5 wide receivers, 6 or 7, top 6 or 7 wide receivers in the NFL. And he's been tremendous. So those guys could get away with a little bit if you're like 6 or 7 seconds late there on that sound effect. That was pretty good. But yeah, they could get away with a little bit more, obviously, and a lot more than Keon Coleman. But I would probably imagine, Stu, that, and I don't want to assume here, but I'm going to assume here, that maybe George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb had a little bit too much fun when they were supposed to be somewhere on Sunday night would probably just be my guess.
That would make sense, yeah. Just
like
one drive, small punishment, but yeah.
Maybe they went
crazy.
out to a nice restaurant and probably had a nice dinner, right? That's probably what they did. But you look at the Cowboys. They're 4-5-1. What happened 2 weeks ago against the Cardinals was just terrible. The game against the Panthers were ugly. But you look at it so far, they were respectable up against the Eagles to open up the year. They should have lost that game to the Giants, but they won in overtime. You had a terrible Russell Wilson interception. You got blown out by the Bears. You tie the Packers. That was basically a win for you. Then you beat the Jets. You lose to the Panthers. You beat the Commanders. You lose to Denver. You lose to Arizona. And then you beat the Raiders. So you're looking at it 4-5-1. It's not a bad job by Brian Schottenheimer. With that being said, though, here are the next 3 games for the Cowboys. Eagles. Short week. Chiefs. At the Lions. If you're sitting there today saying, hey, Troy Aikman, you think they go on a playoff push? You know why Troy laughed in Scott Van Pelt's face last night? It's because those are their next 3 games. And then after that, you play Minnesota, the Chargers. So it doesn't get that much easier. And then you wrap up the season with the bad Commanders team and a bad Giants team. So how many wins do you think? Oh, this is going to work out so perfectly, too. How many wins do you think the Cowboys are going to get, Stu? Just go win or loss with me. Eagles.
Loss.
Chiefs.
Loss.
Lions.
Loss.
Vikings.
Win.
Chargers.
Win.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, why not?
Commanders.
They'll win that one too.
Okay, so that would put them go from 6 to 7 wins. And then the Giants.
Win.
So they have 8 wins. See, I told you that's why it was intentionally going to work. I thought it was going to be between 6 or 7, honestly. Chris Persianen. Cowboys and Eagles. Who wins?
Philly.
Okay. Then the Cowboys play the Chiefs. Just go win-loss.
Loss.
Okay. Then they play the Lions in Detroit.
Loss.
Then they are home up against Minnesota, Sunday Night Football game, a game that I will be doing for Compass.
Win.
Okay. Chargers.
Loss.
At the Commanders.
Win.
Okay. Giants.
Double win.
There you go. So 5, 6, 7 wins right there for the Dallas Cowboys this year.
There you go.
There you go. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a time out. We will come on back. Update time first. Here's the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Advantage Gold. Want to buy gold? Build a winning retirement Advantage portfolio with physical gold and silver with the help of our friends at Advantage Gold. Getting started is easy. Text GOLD to 85545 to get your free gold IRA guide. That's 85545. Visit AdvantageGold.com for terms. Message and data rates may apply. The Steelers got some encouraging news. Aaron Rodgers doesn't need surgery on his fractured wrist. Just a brace will suffice. Mike Tomlin said they'll make a decision on his status on Friday. C.J. Stroud is out Thursday as he remains in concussion protocol. Oklahoma City is off to the best start in the NBA, winning 14 of 15, but right behind them is a team many thought would be good, but maybe not this good at the start. The Pistons are 12-2, riding a 10-game winning streak, and will take on the Hawks in Atlanta, looking to extend it. Head coach J.B. Bickerstaff said there's one thing in particular he likes about his team thus far.
Our defense. That's the most important thing for us. When we commit to the defensive end of the floor, it triggers everything we do offensively. We feel like we're an elite transition basketball team. So when we're getting stops, it gives our guys an opportunity to get out, create early opportunities.
Kansas freshman Darren Peterson is out tonight against Duke due to a hamstring injury. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, the Defensive Player of the Week is brought to you by the Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. This week's player is Broncos cornerback Jaquan McMillan in Sunday's 22-19 win over the Kansas City. How about those Chiefs? McMillan had 6 tackles, 2 sacks, and an interception. Kansas City falls to 5-5 on the season, as you do have the Denver Broncos elevated to 9-2. How about that? Look at the Broncos. You a believer in the Broncos, Stu? Even though you're a Raiders fan? You look at the Broncos, you think that they're a team that maybe gets the Super Bowl this year?
I picked them preseason to get to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I think I have to stick with it at this point, even though Bo Nix is very inconsistent at best, but I feel like I will stick with the Broncos in the AFC.
Can I tell you what's going through Chris Persianen's head right now?
I think I know.
Did you put some money down on
I
that?
didn't, no.
Right, KP? Isn't that what you were thinking?
Or about how Bo picks might throw him out of a game, but you never know.
It's possible. It is very possible.
See, I remember Bo Nix when he was at Auburn, and he was Bo Picks. A lot of people don't remember it at Auburn. They just remember what happened at Oregon. And then in Denver last year, right, first year they go to the playoffs. No one thought that was going to happen. And this year, they could be the #1 overall seed. I get he's not playing great, but I will wait until the moment is really bad to go back to the Bo Picks nickname, because I did love that nickname when he was at Auburn. Let me tell you that. Alrighty, let's go to Pete Carroll. It's been ugly for Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, and Chip Kelly, the 3 disasters out there in Sin City. They have a lot of sins these days. Pete Carroll was talking about the first half play calling.
It was 31 dropbacks in that first half, 3 runs. Is that, I mean, I can't imagine that that's something that you like to look at.
Yeah, it wasn't 31 dropbacks. It was a bunch of play action passes, and really, I really wanted to see us do that. And you know, there's only one person to look at, it's me, because I was influenced on the game plan. I loved the way we were chunking them, and we made big plays. But I knew what was happening, you know, and Chip and I knew what was going on, but we were trying to stay with it and to see if we could continue to get the big plays, which we were getting.
It wasn't 31 dropbacks; they were just play action passes. So, do they have the option to run the ball?
This is like I completely take accountability for what went wrong in the art classroom. It is really funny that there's paint all over the walls, but you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Pete Carroll. I know the toothpaste is already out of the tube, and I've already said too many negative things about Chip Kelly, so I just don't want to make that be the thing when we all know that he's going to be out, Chip Kelly, at the end of the season. Geno Smith, he says the red zone failures was where this game was lost.
You got to score touchdowns in the red zone. I mean, it's that simple. You know, they were playing coverage pretty much, playing Tampa 2, just backing up, kind of daring us to run the ball some of those times. And, you know, we took our shots and we didn't convert. And we all got to play better. I got to do better, you know, and got to be better for the guys.
I may need to put out a welfare check on Chris in California, because I'm surprised he hasn't called us up yet and has been demanding to see Kenny Pickett on the field. I haven't heard from Chris in about 3 weeks about Kenny Pickett, so I'm a little bit concerned. Brian Schottenheimer tried to explain why CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens were benched on the opening drive.
I made a coach's decision. There were some things that were missed, and so I had a conversation with those guys, and that was easy. But, I mean, you look at the energy those guys play with, you know. Clarence, they jump-started the offense when they got back in there. They didn't hang their heads. They didn't do any of that stuff, and that's why I love those guys, man.
That is a player's coach that is not a doormat. That's a guy, like, if you just let the star players get away with that, you're a doormat. I like that Brian Schottenheimer was not a doormat in that spot. Let's go to Jordan Mailata, the Eagles' big offensive tackle, was on Sports Radio 94 WIP. He responded to Derek Gunn's report that the team and coaches, some of them are reportedly fed up with quarterback Jalen Hurts.
I can't speak on what Derek's saying. If that's what he's saying, I'm not going to sit here and tell him, hey, how dare you.
Sure.
Hey, he's, how long has he been part of the media?
G-Gun?
Long time?
Oh,
Yeah, he's
a couple of decades.
Not gonna lie, he's like the Mount Rushmore of Eagles.
So I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, that's what he sees.
Well,
I don't see it. I know how much work Jalen puts into this, and so, I just have to. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't know how to address that.
Sure.
I'll be honest. I don't know how to address that. It wasn't addressed in the team meeting, so I don't think we're gonna make it a bigger deal than what people are making it outside this building. But I'm on the same wavelength as you, Eli. I think it's kind of unfair to say that he's the main problem when I come on this show every week and we break down the run game and we break down how that's not opening the passing game and then we break down protection and how we missed the call here and missed the block here, and so we're giving up sacks or we're giving up pressures. It's not. It's causing Jalen to scramble, and so I think it's kind of crazy.
I think that's him saying, if I could translate it for him, he doesn't have an issue with Jalen. He's good with Jalen. But since he didn't totally dismiss the report, yes, he could frame it as, I'm doing that out of respect to Derek. Derek is a longtime reporter, Derek Gunn, D-Gun. Very well respected, and the players love him. So I'm not going to totally crap on his report, but maybe some guys are actually upset with Jalen Hurts. That's what I kind of think Jordan Mailata is saying there by giving that minute denial where it didn't really sound as if it was a denial 110%. Let's go to Sark. This is a good little back and forth with the media on the thought that Texas has been a disappointment.
What would you say the main reasons are this team is underachieved?
According to who?
Well, when you're preseason number one, I think most people would agree 3 losses is not achieving what you are capable of.
I mean, I guess that's into who voted us number one. Okay, what I think is that this team has competed their tail off, and we have an opportunity at the end of the regular season to do something that nobody's done since 2019, and that's beat 3 top 10 ranked teams in the regular season. The last team to do that was LSU with Joe Burrow. So have we been faced with a pretty difficult schedule? Have we been faced with high expectations? Sure, but that's why we came here, so we'll be okay.
Sark, I like you. You have overcome a lot. I respect your story. The last 2 years, you made a 14 college football playoff when you were in the Big 12 at Texas. Last year, first year in the SEC, you made the SEC championship game. Then you were the lone SEC team remaining in the Final Four in a 12-team playoff. And this year you were going to Arch Manning, and it was, can you take that next step? And you've regressed. You're 7-3. It doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you should be fired, right? You now have to find a way to redeem yourself next year. You and Arch Manning, you guys got to salvage this thing. You guys got to go win next year. But to say that this season and to act as if it's a foreign language being spoken to you when someone says this season has been a disappointment, you're 7-3. You got 3 losses. You're not going to make the college football playoff unless you find a way to beat Arkansas and A&M, and then all hell breaks loose, and they basically just throw you in there just to throw you in there because you're Texas. This has been a bad season. This has been a disappointing season for Texas. I know people will be there maybe at the end of the year and say, oh, well, they were 8-4. Yeah, 8-4 for Texas this year is obviously a disappointment if they beat Arkansas and they lose to A&M. Like, what's their great win this year? All right, Vanderbilt, that's their best win. And Vanderbilt's a good team. But come on. They were terrible against Ohio State offensively. They lost to Florida, who stinks. All right, you beat Oklahoma. I'll give you that. Mateer should have never played in the game, and that's why I liked you to win that game. And then you lost to Georgia. Not only lost to Georgia, you lost 35-10. The game got away from you in the fourth quarter, and your quarterback looked like he was crying at the end of the game. That's a news brief. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, going to join us on the other side when we do return after these short messages.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Alrighty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. There's a new podcast out, just launched today, In the Bayou, with Tyrann Mathieu and Terrell McCall, and both these gentlemen are kind enough to join us right now. Honey Badger and Terrell, appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for it. How are you guys?
No problem. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Honey
man. Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Tyrann,
it.
I got to start you off because now you're in this new venture. You're trying to figure out life after football.
Yeah.
Why did you think it was time to walk away from the game? Just wondering.
Well, for me, man, the short answer is, man, I think I'm ready for the next chapter in my life. I was able to have a great career. I was able to accomplish some great things. I played for some great players. I played with some great players, played under some great coaches, right? And I can honestly look in the mirror and say, man, I'm ready for whatever life, has next for me, So, yeah, man, it was a hell of a ride. I enjoyed it. And, it definitely meant a lot to me, man, especially when I went through at LSU. And then to have the type of career I had, man, I got so many people to thank, right? Like so many fans and supporters, but most importantly, man, my family and friends and just all those type of people that really supported me, man, the last 12, 13 years.
I was checking out the pod this morning. I was doing my old man workout on the elliptical, and I said, let me just jump on YouTube and kind of check this out. So, Terrell, for people that are going to be tuning in for the first time and be checking out the episode, what can people expect?
Man, you guys can expect a lot of great episodes from us. A lot of guys that maybe play some ball with Tyrann. We're going to get the fans to chime in on that. Get some guys up, have some great interviews. Tell you guys a few stories that nobody in the world knows, but I'm definitely going to share it with you guys. Just about the things that me and Tyrann went through, just life here in the Bayou and just being from Nolan.
Well, let's be real, Terrell. Everyone has that friend that's really successful growing up, and you love him. But then there's also a part of you that are like, all right, this guy's too good at everything. What is one thing that you're better at than Tyrann Mathieu?
I would say probably track, man. Probably track. Yeah, I won 4 high school state championships. I fared out pretty well with that. He just was a little more athletic,
That's awesome. All righty, so Tyrann Mathieu, clearly the biggest question these days when it comes to LSU is who the heck is going to be their next head football coach. What's your intel on this right now? What are you thinking?
Well, for me, I think first and foremost, man, we want to wish Brian Kelly, the best going forward. I think Frank being named intern coach was really, really important for a few different reasons. He's going to provide them with some stability, going into the back half of the season. And then too, man, I think we can count on Frank as far as recruitments go and all that type of deal because, Frank is a Louisiana guy, through and through. He's from New Orleans. And so, recruiting in this state means a ton to him, which is what I think the Tigers need to get back to. They need to figure out a way to retain, the Justin Jeffersons and the Jamar Chases of the world, right? Because when we have those players that are from Louisiana, they play a little harder. They represent, the program the right way. So, whoever gets the nod, to be the next head coach, I think that guy should absolutely, represent everything Louisiana. He should love what he's doing. He should love being the head coach at LSU. And, I know Lane Kiffin was in town, a couple hours ago, right? And so I think that'll be a great hire. That's probably the safest hire, right? The safest bet. But, I think between Lane Kiffin and Frank Wilson, man, I wouldn't be mad if they chose either one of those guys.
We have no clue what the Lane train's going to do. Like yesterday, I thought, all right, he's going to LSU. Then today, I think he's staying at Ole Miss. So if it's not Lane Kiffin, I kind of look at a Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. Maybe even you stay in the state and you take the Tulane coach, and John Sumrall has been rumored for Auburn. Like those some other names that stand out to me too.
Yeah, and too, man, I think it'll do well, for the donors and for administration, right? Because you can't keep handing out these $100 million contracts, right? And so how do we get a coach that's maybe lesser known, right? A coach that hasn't won as much, right? But, maybe he only going to cost us $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year, compared to, some of these coaches, making almost $15, $20 million a year. So, I think if they are able to get a guy like Summerall or, even Dillingham, which I think both of those guys, I think they're ready for that next step. right? Because they've competed well within their own respective conferences, and their players seem to love them and gravitate towards them. So I do see those two guys, being the future, of college football coaching. But yeah, man, I wouldn't be mad at any one of those names.
In the Bayou Out new podcast, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and Terrell McCall here with us. Terrell, how about you? You got a thought on who's going to be the next LSU head coach?
I didn't put too much of a thought into it. I'm hoping that we stay with the Purple Knight guy. I'm a St. Augustine alumni. Frank is a St. Augustine alumni. But that would be pretty cool, though, to have a guy that graduated from the same high school as you become the LSU head coach. That would be really dope. But I'm open to some other candidates too as well. Like you said, Lane is out there. I think that would be the safest bet too.
Well, how about you, Tyrann Mathieu? I'm not saying the head coach, but are you interested in dipping your toes into eventually coaching one day?
I think at some point, I'll definitely be a coach, man. Listen, football has always been, like my driving force, in life, along with my family. So, I thought I was going to play 20 years in the league, right? But I didn't, right? But, I think if you look back over the course of my career, and a lot of coaches that coached me, they all kind of endorsed me early on and said, man, you're going to be a great coach one day. So, obviously I know being a head coach at LSU is far-fetched, right? Like that's probably not even a percentage, but I think the idea of me being a part of the staff, whether on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball, man, I'll be more than willing to help LSU, man, because that program just means so much to me. It's done so much for me. And I know the importance of it. Like when LSU is playing well, man, this state is thriving. Everybody's doing a little bit better.
And obviously a lot of people could win there because they've had 3 different coaches since 2000 win national championships. Let me ask you about one of your former teammates in Travis Kelce. You guys won a Super Bowl together. You guys were in Kansas City together for a little bit. Like, you just went through this when you realized, okay, it's time to hang it up. The last 2 years, the Taylor Swift stuff and then the retirement stuff, it's all been out there and everyone's been talking about it. What do you think Trav is going through right now while you're focused on playing, but you're maybe not at this really high level anymore and you're starting to see your game dip a little bit? Does your mind start to tell you, all right, maybe I can't focus on next week. I'm thinking about if this is going to be it for me playing in the NFL.
Yeah, man. You know what? It's tough, man. It's tough, man, because, you play the game at a certain level, right? People know you for playing at a certain standard. And I think when you're a great player, man, like you can't be great forever, right? And so, like how do you give yourself some grace? He was able to accomplish a lot. He's had a great career. And I think, man, the idea of like putting stuff on tape that isn't reflective of the Kelce that we knew and grew accustomed to, I think it could leave a bad taste in people's mouth. And some people may just remember you for that, right? About how it didn't end well for you. So, yeah, man, I'm wishing him the best, man. I hope he makes the best decision for him. But, yeah, man, you gotta know when to let go. I mean, that's just life, though. That's relationships. That's jobs. That's a lot of things, man. Like, you have to know when to let go and just be able to live with it.
Terrell, obviously you've had some oh my goodness moments, but in Tyrann for as long as you have, or Tyrann Mathieu, just what was maybe something still to this day when you look back at knowing him when he's relatively unknown and then became such a big star that you go to yourself, man, I can't believe that the Honey Badger accomplished that.
Yeah, man. A lot of plays he made. Like I told him, one from his rookie year, he actually poked the ball out. I was like, wow, this dude is back to his ways. Like, a year removed from football. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
By the way, Honey Badger, going back to the Chiefs, do you think they're missing the playoffs? Like, they're 5-5 right now. We're not used to them having 5 losses in a season. It's week 11 and they got 5 losses.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And, obviously, man, the thing that kind of sticks with me the most is that, a lot of these teams aren't necessarily scared of the Chiefs anymore, right? And you could see that. I watched the game the other day with the Broncos, man, and the Broncos they looked like a confident, football team, a team that knew that they could play 4 quarters football, with the Chiefs. And, I trust Mahomes, though, man. I won a lot of games with that dude, and along with Coach Reed and Coach Spags, right? And so I anticipate those guys getting better, as the season goes on. It's tough, man. I think after a while, man, it's tough to replace, some of the skill sets that we were accustomed to with the Chiefs, and I think them not necessarily having a great running game, and obviously the receivers, they only played about 4 or 5 games with each other total, like the last 3 or 4 years, and so I think they need to be a little bit healthier too, but you got to get back to running the football, and you got to get back to doing that, man, controlling the game. I think the Chiefs are kind of letting it get away from them.
Well, I'll say this as a Patriot fan right now. My team was the top dog for all those years. People say they're vulnerable. Don't let them in the postseason, Kansas City. Because if Kansas City gets in the postseason, I don't care if people think they're vulnerable or not. No one's going to want to play them. You know that.
Exactly, man. And that goes back to coaching. That goes back to, that three-headed monster, right? Like Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, right? Like if those dudes wake up one day on any given day and they have their best day, it's trouble for everybody in the NFL, So, I think those three guys they're probably losing sleep right now, right? Like they're stuck in that office. They stuck in that facility until they figure out, how to get this team back on the right track.
You know the game, right? The defensive back jawing with the wide receiver. It happens every single time. The receiver giving it back to the defensive back. I love Jamar Chase, but I couldn't believe that he spit in Jalen Ramsey's face the other day. Now he's going to be suspended for a game. I think he's going to appeal it. Just how did you react to that? Him being an LSU guy and a guy that you know very well.
Yeah, I mean, I was taken back by that. I know Jamar. I know his family. I know his dad. That's not how he was raised. That's not the Jamar that I know. The Jamar I know is a competitive guy that loves his teammates. Right, he wants to make those big plays in the game, but he's composed. He's always composed, right? And that just wasn't reflective of who he is as a person. And so I can understand why Jalen responded or reacted the way that he did, because as athletes, man, it's like those unspoken rules, right? Like it's that unspoken language of, yeah, man, like I'm gonna take it there with you every play, but I'm not gonna cross that line with you. I'm not gonna disrespect you, right? And I think one thing too is Jamar needs to understand too, because he's still relatively young, right? And he needs to understand that he's the captain now. Joe Burrow isn't out there, right? Everybody in that stadium, everybody on that team is really looking to him, right? For leadership and execution and doing the right things and stuff like that. So yeah, man, like I would advise him to apologize, right? Maybe you reach out to Jalen personally, right? You apologize to him. I think that's what men do, and just be able to move on from it. But absolutely, never allow that to happen again.
Who was the wide receiver that you enjoyed going to battle up against the most in your career?
Man, I tell you, man, when I first came into the NFL, man, I got a good dose of grown man football. I had to deal with, Anquan Bolden, and I mean, that guy there, man, just relentless, even when he wasn't getting the ball, like he was trying to put you in the dirt. So, he was definitely, one of the guys that I really remember, just those personal battles with, early
your practices in Arizona, by the way. Larry Fitzgerald, right? It's like that must have been unreal.
Hey, man, I remember hopping off the bus as a rookie, and my first responsibility was to go on a slot and cover Larry Fitzgerald. And I thought, man, I might not make it through training camp. This is gonna be tough, man. But I appreciated that, man, because Larry really taught me a lot, man. He helped me understand that, man, it's a craft to this sport, right? Like we're not just waking up and relying on athleticism and a good night's sleep. Like there's things to be learned. There's details within this game that if you're able to understand those and master those, you can have a great career. So yeah, it's kind of like iron sharpening iron, man. So yeah, he had me nervous at first when Bruce Arians told me, like, yeah, that's the dudes you're gonna be covering today. But after a while, you begin to appreciate it.
You look at someone like Kyler Murray. He's got the big contract, is hurt, was benched, isn't playing well. People start to say, okay, it looks like the Cardinals are going to move off of him in the near future. What advice would you give to him, and do you still see some optimism when it comes to his football career?
Yeah, I think Kyler is, he's still under 30. I think he can if he can find a system that suits him best, I think he could continue to have a career. It's tough, man. I think when you deal with injuries, when you deal with those up and down seasons, man, it's tough, especially on leaders, especially on captains. They carry a lot of that, So for Kyler, man, it's sometimes you need a fresh start. Right, like I was in Arizona, my first 5 years in the league. We won a lot of football games, but I had a lot of injuries, right? And I needed a fresh start. And I think when I was able to go to Houston for that one season, I was able to kind of breathe again, learn myself again, learn my body again. And I think that experience helped, bring me, to Kansas City, right, where I had done some work. So by that time, man, I was ready. I was prepared to take that next step. And so, you hope and pray that his career, has that same sort of trajectory where he can understand, he can learn from his past, right? He can get a fresh start, right? And he can begin to believe in himself again and elevate, organization.
Last thing I'll ask both of you guys. I need an answer out of both of you, Tyrann Mathieu and Terrell McCall. All righty. I love New Orleans. I've been there for Mardi Gras. I was there for a whole week for the Super Bowl. Dragos, Mothers, Irene's. Like, I love all the spots there. I used to be a whole lot bigger than I am right now. Where are you guys going? One meal in New Orleans. I'm visiting. Where are you taking me each?
Well, for me, I would take you to my sister's house. Cause
there we go, home cooking.
She cook a mean gumbo, She cook a mean yak and mean soup. I mean, you name it, whatever you're in the mood for, she can do it.
What's the soup?
Yak and mean.
What is
it's
that?
Like it's beef. It's sort of like a gravy sauce, if you will. It's like beef in there. You got your eggs. You got your celery. You got your onions. Pasta strings, and yeah, man, you could eat the whole plate and then drink the whole bowl. Right after. So that's amazing. But Terrell probably have a more commercialized spot because he's actually my food expert. So whenever I'm hungry or when I need something to eat, I always hit him up like, yo, what's up today?
So Terrell, forget about the honey badger. You're the food guy then. He's just some average Joe in this conversation. Where are we going?
Man, I probably would take you to Acme because I fell in love with those char-grilled oysters. Man, Acme and probably Root Chris, man. Get a good steak.
Yeah, those oysters, they're no joke in New Orleans.
Oh,
I was staying at a hotel and they were frying the oysters right in front of you. It was I almost didn't leave my hotel the entire time when I was in New Orleans because I could just watch that show.
Look, when you're down here in the bayou, it's a lot that we might offer. A lot, beignets, daiquiris, you name it.
I always say this. I always get the double XL seat on the way back after visiting New Orleans, the extra legroom, because you're going to need it. Super Bowl champion and Louisiana native Tyrann Mathieu, along with his buddy Terrell McCall, have officially launched their new podcast, In the Bayou, and it's now streaming on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Gentlemen, good luck on the debut of the podcast. Thanks so much for doing this today. Good to chat with you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Zachary. I appreciate it, man.
There you go. Tyrann Mathieu and Terrell McCall joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. When we come on back, why a 24-team college football playoff system would make my head explode. I give you that on the other side.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
I saw something earlier today that made me want to puke. Now, it's been talked about before. It has been discussed. We have even talked about it on this show before. But when I saw this today, it was really, and I mean really gross. Ross Dellinger, in a meeting today in Charlotte, Power Conference commissioners saw a presentation from the Big Ten on a 24-team playoff format. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. Officials agreed to keep further exploring formats beyond 12. SEC officials, as they have said publicly, support 16. Tony Petitti, I'm not your biggest fan. What the heck are we doing? The AP Top 25 this year, forget about the format, has been a complete and utter embarrassment. You have John Sumrall, who's the head football coach at Tulane. He's going to join us tomorrow, talking about how he doesn't even think his team is all that good. And this has been a really good season for Tulane. And if you look and you see that they're in the top 25, there must be a lot of average teams and some bad football being played. So we have a 12-team playoff format. I think we could all agree. The 12-team college football playoff format is fine. When they were at 4, some people thought it wasn't enough. I thought it was more than enough. I thought it was a good number. I've always said I'd be willing to go to 8. But I was fearful of going to anything more than 8. With that being said, last year 12 worked. This year 12 is working as well. But to go to 14 or to go to 16, is it necessary? Heck no. Can it still be fine? Yes. If you're going to go to, from 12 and increase it, I would prefer 14 because I don't want more. But if it has to be 16, okay, but then never expand again. And I said this the day that it was announced that they're going from a 14 format to 12. Think about that jump. It used to be a computer system. Then it was a 2-team system. Then it was a 4-team system. So you basically go from 4 in a playoff, first time the playoff ever was done, 4 to 12. That's a huge jump. And you know why they jumped so big to 12 right away? Because they knew that they eventually wanted to expand it even further than that. If you want to go from 12 to 14, I'm not going to like it. I won't complain about it too much. If you want to go from 12 to 16, I'll say it's unnecessary. I'll say it's stupid. I'll say it's idiotic. But I won't complain about it too much. Going to 24 is just one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in the history of sports. And think about this. In the proposed format that is never going to get approved, and the SEC will never approve this, the Big Ten, they want 4 conference representatives from the Power 4 conferences. So the ACC, 4 teams. The Big 12, 4 teams. The Big 10, 4 teams. The SEC, 4 teams. So if you're one of the Power 4 conferences, you are guaranteed 4 spots in this 24-team iteration of the college football playoff. Then there will be 2 spots to the non-Power 4 conferences. And then there will be 6 spots up for grabs. So it'd be the 2 non-Power League champions and then 6 at-large selections. So 4 to the SEC, 4 to the Big Ten, 4 to the ACC, 4 to the Pac-12, the 2 highest-ranked non-Power 4 conference champs, and then 6 at-large bids. What are we doing? Serious. So what you're going to basically then those other 6 spots, well, 1 could be reserved for Notre Dame, and then the other 5 would be probably 3 to the SEC and 2 to the Big Ten, or vice versa, depending on the year. So you're looking at a possibility of up to probably 7 teams in from the SEC on any given year, or on the Big Ten. And then the other one, I didn't mean to do this intentionally, 6. And it's just too many. What are we doing? 24 teams? So the expectation is, according to Dellinger, that the 12-team format will go unchanged next season, as one commissioner's even publicly said a deadline imposed by ESPN December 1st creeps closer while the Power League remains, the Power Leagues remain at an impasse. Now, however, those teams from the SEC, both its commissioner and university presidents, have publicly pushed back against such a model as talking about a 24-team format in favor of a 16-team format with 5 total automatic qualifiers and 11 at-large selections. The SEC and Big Ten must agree for a new format to be adopted. All right, let me ask you this. We'll go around the room here. Would you rather have this fugazi, if it came down to it, 12 to, let me not put my opinion on it first, even though you basically heard it. Let me try to be neutral here, and I don't want to sway the opinion or alter the beliefs of Chris Persianen or Stuart Kovacs. I want your honest beliefs on this, because maybe I'm just an idiot on this. Would you want this 24-team format? Well, let me see if I get my math right. It's 4 teams guaranteed to the SEC, 4 teams guaranteed to the Big Ten, 4 teams guaranteed to the ACC, 4 teams guaranteed to the Big 12, 2 of the highest ranked non-Power 4 conference champs and then 6 automatic, at-large bids? Would you rather have all that? I think that equals up to 24. Or would you rather have what the SEC potentially wants, which is a 16-team format, 5 total automatic qualifiers? I'm assuming that's the 4 Power 4 conference champs, and then the highest ranked non-Power 4 conference champion, and then 11 at-large selections. Which one would you rather have? I will start with you, Stu.
I'd rather stay at the 12, but if I can't choose that, I will pick the 16. I just don't think 24 is necessary. 24 is just way too many. Way too many.
Now let me go to Chris Persianen. And Chris Persianen, let me just say, the stereotypes about his generation, I do not think reflects the view and the way that I know Chris Persianen. I think Chris Persianen is a hard worker. I think Chris Persianen is someone that just gets to work, puts his head down, and tries to make an impression around here. And he's impressed a lot of people here. But there's a lot of people that are 23 and 24, and I'm not that old. I'm only 31. But they just think that everything now is a participation trophy in life. So is the youngster in Chris Persianen in favor of the 16-team format or the participation trophy contest, which would be a 24-team format? Which one?
I think a 16-team format is participation trophy coded, as you kind of alluded to there. Anything more than 16, we have completely lost the plot. This is a completely different, and maybe that's okay, but they have to come out and say, we think the old product is bad, and we are going to completely replace it with a completely different thing. You can't just keep... like, oh, this is a little apartment. It's got 2 rooms. Oh, I'm gonna annex another room. Oh, I'm gonna add a bathroom. Oh, I'm gonna add a library. Oh, I'm gonna add a swimming pool. At some point, it started as an apartment, but it's a mansion now. You can't just keep saying, hey, this is my humble abode. So unless they're gonna come out and say, listen, we don't think what we've been doing is working, and we really need to change it, then they shouldn't just keep trying to squeeze in these little...
Oh, it's just greed.
Because exactly. We're going to interpret it as a money grab every time, because that's what it is.
You build an apartment complex, and let's say you have 8 floors, and you could have some beautiful luxury state-of-the-art apartments, and you're building it that way on the 8th floor, the 7th floor, the 6th floor, the 5th floor, the 4th floor, the 3rd floor. But then you get to the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. And you're like, all right, we built some beautiful apartments. But on the 2nd and 1st floor, we're like, no one really wants to live in the 2nd and the 1st floor. You know what? We're just going to make those apartments smaller than what we did on the previous floors and just try to jam 1,000 pounds of crap in a 500-pound suitcase. That's what you're basically trying to do by going to 24. And in the regular season, I don't think the regular season, I thought it could have been devalued by a 12-team format. The regular season has worked. You got to be 2 losses or fewer. If you get to 3, that's the line where you're on the cut line and you can maybe get in or you'll probably be out, right? You go to 24 teams and you could be talking about maybe 6 teams in from the Big Ten, 7 teams in from the SEC. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like, Alabama's been in for most of the year, right? They went on this great 8-game win streak. They lose to Oklahoma. I still think Alabama's going to get it as long as they don't lose another game. But if they would have lost to Oklahoma, at least it's not even a conversation if it's 24-team format. It's like, all right, lose 5 games, and then maybe you don't get it. But I'm looking at this right now. So the playoff committee is going to come out tonight with their rankings. So if I just look at the 8 people, Ohio State's going to be ranked 1, Indiana's going to be 2, A&M's going to be 3, Georgia's going to be 4. Then Ole Miss is going to be 5, Texas Tech probably going to be 6, Oregon's probably going to be 7th, Oklahoma is going to be 8, Notre Dame's going to be 9, Alabama's probably going to be 10, and you need an ACC champ in there, and you also then need a G5 representative in there. So maybe it's like, all right, they go Miami and then whoever, North Texas or James Madison. So I didn't say BYU. I didn't say Vanderbilt. I didn't say Utah. I didn't say Georgia Tech. I didn't say USC. I didn't say Texas. I didn't say Michigan. I didn't say Virginia. I didn't say Tennessee. I didn't say Missouri. I didn't say Houston. Right? Like, those are some power conference schools that are left out of this 12-team format. if that's the way that this cookie crumbles tonight, is anyone dying to see Texas play more football this year with what we've seen? Is anyone dying to see USC play more football this year? Is anyone dying to see Missouri play more football this year? Like, what are we doing? Going to 24 teams would be so stupid. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Big Friendly is on the line, and he needs advice. Big Friendly in California, next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Big Friendly, are you all right? What's happening?
Oh, man, I'm just stupendous, my man Zachary Doodah. And when I call you Zachary, that's because I believe we kinfolk. You know what I mean? But nah, so I secured, I told Chris the name of the person off air because I just didn't want to name drop.
Okay.
But I just was notified that I secured an interview, my first major interview with the hip-hop legend.
Oh, wow.
So,
wait, are you a podcaster, Big Friendly?
Of course, man. I'm everything, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why you're Big Friendly.
I do a sport. Yeah, I do a sports podcast. I do a food review show, stuff like that. So that's why I said I could bring food to the table. But no, so I'm trying to transition to that because I do interview like restaurant owners when I do shows and stuff.
Okay.
But with this is kind of like totally different. So, you know, watching you and you guys and Magsy, I've seen you guys, you know, interview some main sports athletes. So I'm just trying to think like, so what would you give somebody advice for their first one? Like, what is something I should really pay attention to?
All right, so I'd say the two things that you need to do. Don't call them an interview. I know sometimes we call them interviews. I would look at it and approach it as if it's a conversation. You want to have the guests feel comfortable. You want to be comfortable with the guests. There may be some things that you have to ask that aren't the most pleasant or the guest doesn't want to ask, but I would approach it as if it's just a conversation. And obviously, this is a big name, so it doesn't feel always like a conversation. But if you were just on the phone with a buddy, that's how I would kind of approach it as. And then also, the biggest thing I can tell you, listen. Like, you will go in with some questions. You will have an approach and a plan. But sometimes the best interviews are done by people that are the hosts just listening, because maybe the guest will say something that is so compelling that needs a follow-up. And sometimes if you're just a robot and just go by the list of your questions 1 through 10, you won't be listening, and then you'll miss something that is really gold. Like, I can't tell you how many interviews I've listened to where I know that the host is just doing scripted questions and is not listening. Listening is such a big thing. So just treat it as a conversation, listen, and Big Friendly. You're Big Friendly. You got a natural charm. That means they're going to like it. It's going to be sensational. Don't be worried.
Nah, no, real quick. Did you see the video before you let me go?
What video?
The video of me dancing for Perloff?
No. How do I find this?
Well, I know Kaplan has it, so I don't know, like...
I'll text Cap. You know,
real quick.
I will text Kaplan right now.
We're going to get our best guys on this.
I need the video of Big Friendly shaking that. No, dancing. That is what I'm sending to Cap. I'm sure that he will get back to me momentarily. And then what's your last thing? Go ahead.
And well, that was really it. So I truly appreciate that, Zachary Doodah. I appreciate everything, man. And hey, you know I can't pay nobody because I'm on the bottom. But you're always welcome to come on and bull crap with us, my man. We love talking. And here's what sucks, Zachary.
Yeah.
All my co-hosts are 49er fans.
Oh, boy. You know, I'll go on there and I'll talk some smack to those dopey 49ers fans. Absolutely. And you know what? That is a big misconception that in this business, people pay people to come on the air and be a guest. I have never paid someone to be a guest on my show. Like, if it's a weekly spot, that's different. That's sponsored and all that stuff. But just these one-time appearances or guys that have come on, like, 3 or 4 times through the years, we don't pay them. So I will not charge you Big Friendly. It will be free of charge. You'll be on the house of the Big Friendly Bucks.
I appreciate that, Zachary. I'm just a man. I'm never gonna have my hand out for free. I'm always willing to pay my way. So you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So, but
well,
I
then you know what?
you.
$700,000. Get it together. I'll come on the show.
Well, then Zachary, it's gonna take a long time, but I got the ski mask if you keep the engine running.
There he is, the great Big Friendly. Could you imagine?
Zackety doo-dah.
National radio host arrested. Robs bank with caller. Alrighty, update time. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive is proud to support veterans and small businesses with its annual Keys to Progress vehicle giveaway program, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com. Aaron Rodgers fractured left wrist might not keep him out any games as he'll wear a brace. Head coach Mike Tomlin said a determination on his status will be made Friday. C.J. Stroud's concussion will keep him from another game. The Texans have ruled out their quarterback for Thursday night. LeBron James hasn't played yet due to sciatica, but his return could be tonight. The King practiced yesterday. He's listed as questionable for tonight's matchup against the Jazz and said the layoff has been tough on him.
Never in my life, since I started playing the game of basketball, have I ever not started the season in my life. So, it's been a mind test, but, I'm built for it, and just been, putting in the work, both mentally and physically, and just trying to get myself ready to rejoin the team.
L.A. is off to a 10-4 start so far. The Pistons at 12-2 go for their 11th straight tonight in Atlanta. College action, 5th-ranked Duke takes on Kansas, which is 24th in the country. But the Jayhawks won't have freshman star Darren Peterson due to his injured hamstring. I'm Rich Jacob.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
So, I had a financial situation going back a week and a half ago. Nothing wrong, but I just realized something with my finances. It had my birthday listed wrong. So I had to send in this form. And it had me as if I was 5 years younger than what I actually am. And it's not one of those major things. I'm just crossing some T's, dotting some I's with something. And it's something for years and years down the road. And I go, oh, well, that's not my birthday year. You have the month and the day right, but the year is completely wrong. So I get this form that's sent to me. And it's been sitting in my inbox now for a week and a half. And I have to fill it out and attach my license with it to show that my birthday is actually in the year of 94 and not 99. When am I going to actually do that? I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just saying this on the air. So Stu, tells me, oh, maybe you should do this one of these days. But it has now been a week and a half that this email has been sitting in my mailbox. And I have to print out the form because I don't have a printer in my apartment. So I have to print out the form here, fill it out, and then I'll go to one of the fax machines here and fax it back to this lovely person that's helping me out.
Yeah, you should do it.
Right? Should I do it today after the show?
I think so, yeah.
Should I have a call at 6:30 today after the show. I'm speaking to someone that is an aspiring broadcaster. So I want to walk home. So if I want to walk home, it takes me about 25 to 30 minutes to walk home. So maybe do I push it off to tomorrow?
Maybe tomorrow to do it, yeah.
What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's a Wednesday. I got a few more meetings. Could we push for Thursday? I think I'm free on Thursday. Let me look at my schedule here real quickly. Yeah. Tuesday, I got meetings. Wednesday, I got meetings after the show. Thursday, I'm in the open. Stu, I'm putting this on you.
I was going to say you should have Sam to remind you.
Yeah. I think we'll see Mike in about 7 months. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I'm going to say on Thursday, please remind me. All right? Just be a good friend.
Sounds good.
Just remind me. Say, you got to do this form. It's not good not to complete this form. And then I'll probably print it out Thursday, and then away we go. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Steve's in Kansas City wants to talk about this 24-team college football playoff format that's being proposed by the Big Ten. Steve, what's happening?
Hey, buddy. First-time caller. I just want to say I look at it from this standpoint. I'd rather watch those teams that get in the 24 play a meaningful game than play a meaningless bowl game where half the players may not even play. And really, that's all I got to say on that, and I'll hang up and listen to what you got to say about it.
You know
Thanks,
what,
buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the phone call, and thanks for calling for the first time. It's interesting. I did not think about it that way. I am vehemently against a 24-team format. I think it's too many teams. But let's say if, I don't know, Virginia gets in on this format, and let's say Missouri gets in on this format. If the Virginia regular season is over, and the Missouri regular season is over, and both those teams are going to bowl games. Virginia right now is 9-2. Missouri is 7-3. And let's say they're going to, I don't know, the
Pop-Tart Bowl. Everyone's favorite.
Jinx, you owe me a ginger ale. The Pop-Tart Bowl. They brought in that Stu doesn't usually get excited when there's like big things that happen around here.
That was a great day.
The day they brought in the Pop-Tart Bowl trophy, Stu was mesmerized by it. So let's say, Missouri goes to the Pop-Tart Bowl and Virginia goes to the Cheez-It Bowl. If you're a guy that's going to the draft, are you going to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl? Most likely no. So for those schools and for that way, I can understand why someone would want to go to the 2014 format. But I think you're watering down the college football playoff, which I don't want to do. And then also, I don't know how this would play out on a bracket. What did we hear was a major gripe last year from some of these teams that were on the bye? The wait, the layoff. You had 30 days Oregon had to wait from the Big Ten championship to playing their first college football playoff game. Now, even if they played that game 15 days earlier, I don't think it would have mattered because no one was going to beat Ohio State that night in the teams that were in college football last year. It just wasn't happening. Ohio State was on, and when Ohio State was on last year, they won. So how long are these other teams that are better going to have to wait to make sure that all these other teams are good to go and they get taken care of because it's a survive and you advance type of tournament? Because I do imagine that there's some buy in the structure. But do we need to see 4 ACC teams in? Do we need to see 4 Big 12 teams in? And do we even need to see 6 or 7 SEC or Big 10 teams? That was a really sad 6 or 7 when I did that. 6, 7. Do we really need to see 6 or 7 Big 10 or 6 or 7 SEC teams in? No, we don't. We don't. Come on. You know what you should do, Percy? I know Percy Island's huge with social media. You should do a video of all the 6 or 7 references that I made today.
It took me 40 minutes at this point.
Yeah, honestly, it may take you 3 hours. Maybe we should, instead of renaming our network the Infinity Sports Network, we should have just been the 6-7 Network. We could have been on to something. We only air maybe from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then call it a day. I don't think JR or Bart would like that or Pat Boyle. But that would be something. That definitely would be something.
So I guess in this scenario, there would be 8 buys and then 9.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because it would be 9 through 24 would play to get it to 16, and then you would have then the 16 team playoff, and then all the way down to line.
Let me tell you what, brother. I'm not in the 2014 format. There will be people, though, around. Like Hickey. I bet you Hickey would be a 2014 format guy. You want to know who Ryan Hickey thinks is going to be the next Penn State head coach? Hickey's been down in the dumps the last few weeks just because of the Penn State thing, but I think he's starting to get over what happened this year, and he's coming to grips with it. So I talked to Hickey, and I said, all right, let's say Lane Kiffin stays at Ole Miss. I don't think Lane's even going to be in consideration for Penn State anyway. It's either going to be Ole Miss, Florida, LSU at this rate. He's an SEC guy. Let's just say Eli Drinkwitz, I threw out there, goes to Florida or LSU instead of staying at Missouri and doesn't go to Penn State because Eli Drinkwitz has been rumored for Penn State. Who do you think is going to be the next head coach? He goes, Kalen DeBoer.
I don't know about that hot take, Hickey.
Thanks, Mom. That was without hesitation. It was Kalen DeBoer. And his reasoning is, all right, if they miss the playoff, then Kalen DeBoer may want to leave, which, okay. They got to miss the playoff. Don't they play Eastern Illinois, I think? And then they play Auburn, which is practically Eastern Illinois anyway. So Hickey's going to be rooting for Auburn to beat Alabama. So I said to him, just put out a video that Alabama's going to beat Auburn by 50 points. Then DeBoer will get fired, and then boom, maybe he goes to Penn State. So Hickey's all in on Kalen DeBoer to Penn State. I think he'll stay at Alabama because they're going to make the college football playoff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
And away we go. Hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. It is a Tuesday, so that means Stu has crafted up some questions And whatever question he does ask me, I'll tell you if the question is an overreaction or a proper reaction. And we get it going in 3, 2, and 1. And 1. And 1.
Another football week is complete, which means it's another week to freak out about your favorite team. Which takes are truly crazy.
But sometimes a game can be so bad, it's almost good. You know what I'm saying? No.
And which are so crazy, they might be right.
He's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
Zach lets you know in this week's edition of Overreaction or Proper Reaction.
Alrighty, Stu, what do we got cooking today?
All right, as we talked about earlier in the show, on Monday Night Football, the Cowboys dominated my Raiders by a score of 33-16. The Raiders are now 2-8 on the season, and once again struggled to get much going offensively, as Geno Smith was only 27-42 passing, 238 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 pick. And first-round pick Ashton Jeanty ran for just 7 yards on 6 carries. Overreaction or proper reaction, the Raiders will have both a new head coach and a new starting quarterback in 2026.
I think they should move off of Geno Smith. I think he, at least bare minimum, shouldn't be their starting quarterback next year. I also look at Pete Carroll. I think they should move off of him, but I think he will be back. So I'm going to say Pete Carroll is still the Raiders head coach in 2026. Geno Smith will not be their starting quarterback starting week 1 of 2026. So the Raiders will have a new head coach and a new starting quarterback in 2026. I am going to say overreaction because Pete will be back.
All right, the Commanders and Dolphins battled it out in the final international series game of the season in Madrid on Sunday. Now, according to the Spanish publication Diarios, the game on Sunday generated 150 million.
This ain't a soccer segment right here?
This is
Just
not.
making sure you guys aren't squeezing in some football here when we're supposed to be talking about football.
Well, the game, the NFL game there generated 150 million euros in Madrid City, 21 million euros from bars and restaurants alone. And according to a study, 42,000 of the 78,000 fans who came to the stadium were tourists. Overreaction or proper reaction, the NFL should continue to increase the amount of international games each season.
I'm going to give you this question. The NFL should continue to increase the amount of international games. Do we need any more? Like, I feel as if we have one each and every week. I know we don't, but there's way too many international games. So I'll say fine with the number right now. Like when somebody asks you a question like, how does this look? And you go, fine. It's like, I don't really like it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to say that I hate it. I don't need more international games. Right now, the number is okay. It's tolerable. It's a lot, but it's tolerable. I'll still watch the football. But with that being said, if we're going to have a Super Bowl one day in London, like, what are we doing here? We don't need any more international games. We have enough. So the NFL should continue to increase the amount of international games each season. It's like a college football playoff. You made the big expansion to 12, right? You have more and more international games. You go to different places, obviously, but we don't need more in terms of the total number of teams or the total numbers of games being played internationally. So I will go overreaction there.
Browns defensive end Myles Garrett continues to put up astounding numbers this season. On Sunday, he became the only player with multiple games of 4 or more sacks since 2020, and he's done it 3 times. In addition to that, he has the most sacks since the start of each season dating back to 2020. He's had 88 since 2020. Since the start of 2021, he's had 75. Since the start of 2022, he's had 59. And since the start of 2024, 29. Overreaction or proper reaction, Myles Garrett will go down as the greatest individual pass rusher of all time.
So he's moving on up that list. With that being said, is he Reggie White? No. Is he Bruce Smith? No. And obviously, is he the great Lawrence Taylor? No. Now, he'll definitely have more career sacks than Lawrence Taylor, but Lawrence Taylor, you could argue, is the most feared pass rusher of all time. So he will be one of the all-time greats. He will easily be in Canton, Ohio. But am I going to say that he'll be the greatest individual pass rusher of all time? I will not. But with that being said, Myles Garrett is, 29? 28, I believe? Is he younger than that? Let's see. He's 29 years old. Turns 30 on December 29th. And right now, when you look at Myles Garrett in his career sacks, I believe it's 117, right? Is the number? It's 117 and a half. So when you look at the career sack list, Bruce Smith, 200. Reggie White, 198. Kevin Green, 160. Julius Peppers, 159 and a half. Chris Dolman, 150 and a half. Michael Strahan, 141 and a half. Jason Taylor, 139 and a half. Terrell Suggs, 139. DeMarcus Ware, 138 and a half. Richard Dent, 137 and a half. John Randall, 137 and a half. Jared Allen, 136. Von Miller, 134 and a half. Jonathan Abraham, 133 and a half. Lawrence Taylor, 133 and a half. Leslie O'Neal, 132 and a half. Ricky Jackson, 128. Derek Thomas, 126 and a half. Dwight Freeney, 125 and a half. And Cam Jordan, 125. That's the top 20. So he's making his way up that list. Is he going to get to 200? I doubt it. He's already at 117 and a half. We could see. But I don't think he'll be viewed. I think he'll be viewed as one of, just not as the greatest. That's the question. Like Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor, just for starters, I know Smith has the number. I don't know how you can move past Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. That's just me. So as much as I do like Myles Garrett, and I enjoyed our conversation at the Super Bowl, Myles Garrett will go down as the greatest individual pass rusher of all time. I'm going to say overreaction.
All right, Panthers rookie wide receiver Ted McMillan had another strong performance this weekend when he totaled 8 catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns in Carolina's win over the Falcons. Now, the 8th pick out of Arizona currently has 4 touchdowns, 54 catches, and 748 yards on the season, but is on pace if the season, for a whole season, 83 catches, 1,156 yards. Overreaction or proper reaction? Ted McMillan is the most surprising rookie this season.
Okay, Stu, I see what you were saying there. I see. Now, I'll peel back the curtain here. On some of these questions, you may have heard the music play for a second or two longer because I'm communicating to Stu through the talkback system. So I just looked down at this sheet at question 4, which we're on right now, and I see that Ted McMillan has 83 catches for 1,156 yards this season. And I go, really? I go, no. That's not his numbers for the season. So I send a little note to Stu. I think your numbers on Ted McMillan are wrong. And then I just see the wording that it's the 8th pick out of Arizona is now on pace. On pace. So Stu was right. Zach was wrong. Tell me another day that ends in Y. Ted McMillan is the most surprising rookie this season. Ibuka would have been up there, even though I liked Emeka Ibuka a lot. And I thought highly of Ted McMillan coming out of college. But who would have thought that the Carolina Panthers would have a receiver that would have 83 catches potentially for 1,156 yards? I didn't think their passing game was going to be that good. So the offensive rookie of the year odds right now, you have Jackson Dart in the mix, but now he's hurt. Emeka Ibuka, Tyler Warren, but I thought very highly of Warren. Tedder Torre, McMillan, and then Quinshon Junkins. Defensive rookie of the year, Abdul Carter's had a half a sack. Jahad Campbell's been good. Nick Amenawari, I think I'm saying that correctly, the Seahawks. Will Johnson, I thought was going to be really good. You know what? This is not a great rookie class. So the fact that Ted McMillan right now, if you would have said to me, because right now he's 6th in the league in receiving yards, Zach, would you believe that through 11 weeks he'd be 6th in receiving yards? I would not. So I'm going to say that, yes, Ted McMillan is the most surprising rookie this season. That is a proper reaction. And Stu, I apologize for my overreaction.
It's all good. Speaking of rookies, we finally got to see Shedeur play on Sunday as the rookie out of Colorado came into the game for a concussed Dillon Gabriel in a loss to the Ravens. Now, Shedeur completed just 4 of 16 passes.
And Justina Anderson thought it was the greatest 4 completions that has ever existed.
Just 47 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. While Gabriel's concussion isn't expected to keep him out long-term, his status for Sunday's game against the Raiders is in doubt, and Shedeur is likely to start reportedly. Overreaction or proper reaction, the Browns would be making a massive mistake by not starting Shedeur Sanders the rest of the season.
All right. A massive mistake? I am one that has advocated and said Shedeur should be starting this week up against the lousy Raiders. A massive mistake? That would be...
Fireball fence.
That would kind of be as if a billionaire got fined $200,000 and people are going to say, oh, that's a massive punishment. It's a massive punitive action. Yeah, to the billionaire, what did I say, $200,000? That would be like Stu losing a penny, if we're just being honest. It's not that big of a deal. So I think the Browns would be doing something I disagree with by starting Dillon Gabriel. But for the rest of the season, a massive mistake for not starting Shedeur Sanders for the rest of the season. I don't know. Like, what happens if he plays the next 3 games and stinks? Is that a massive mistake? Like, are you not going to go to Deshaun Watson? Ah, man. So for this weekend, it would be a mistake. It would be. For the rest of it, a massive mistake? Does anyone think Shedor's actually going to be the guy in Cleveland? No, so I can't say it's going to be a massive mistake. I do think it would be a mistake, though, not giving him at least the next few weeks. So I guess I'll go overreaction there on that specifically worded question by the great Stu Kovacs.
All right, Texas now has 3 losses this season after falling to Georgia by a score of 35-10 on Saturday in a game that really wasn't that close. After national championship hopes heading into the season, reaching the playoffs would be a miracle at this point for the Longhorns. Well, College Game Day analyst Desmond Howard made this claim on his Instagram page yesterday.
I was also thinking, don't be surprised if that Texas job opens up at the end of the season. You guys were shocked when LSU opened up. Imagine how you're going to feel if that job in Austin pops open. I'm not calling or saying anyone's going to get fired. Maybe a mutual parting of ways. Anyway, you guys have a great Monday.
Overreaction or proper reaction, Texas and Sark would both be better off if they mutually parted ways.
Let me ask you 3 questions here. Do you think maybe Desmond Howard was on social media and just saw some like crazy post about Sark getting fired or Texas moving off of Sark from someone that's like unverified, and Desmond Howard ran with it? Yes or no? Do you think that's possible?
I think it's possible. Sure.
Do you think Desmond Howard has in the back of his mind the Diana Rossini report from a few weeks ago that there's NFL interest with Sark?
Yeah, I can see that too.
Thirdly, do you think Desmond Howard is just talking out of his ass right there?
Probably the most likely of the 3.
I think all 3 are possibilities. I do. If Sark is going to mutually part ways with Texas, I would like to see Sark be the coach at LSU. I think it'd be fun. Now, I don't think Texas is going to want to move off of Sark right now. I don't think they're going to want to move off of Sark. With that being said, though, if they're going to mutually part ways, maybe Sark comes to them and say, hey, I'm going to go pursue the NFL. But also, the last 2 years, we have actually legitimately said Texas is back. They made the Big 12 championship game. They won it. They made the college football playoff. Then, first year in the SEC, they made the SEC championship game. They were in the Final Four of the college football playoff in a 12-team format. Sark had a terrible, and I mean a terrible play call in that fourth quarter up against Ohio State down at the down at the goal line that pushed them back 7 or 8 yards. And this year it's gotten away from them, but they're 7-3. It's not successful, but I think he deserves a chance to go get this right with Arch Manning next year. So Texas and Sark could both be better off if they mutually parted ways? No. I don't think it really makes sense for Sark, and I don't think it makes sense for Texas. So I would say that is a overreaction, but a interesting take by Desmond Howard, who Carl Dukes, I think, last year around this time, got a random phone call from Desmond Howard, who was listening to our network and just pretended to be a caller to the Carl Dukes extravaganza. Which that was something. All righty, next one.
All right, there is still speculation.
I guess Desmond Howard likes to be a sports talk radio caller sometimes, because that was one wacky, and I mean wacky opinion. Oh, can you imagine the Diana Rossini victory lap if she finally gets one right on this whole Sark thing? Because she got shredded for that. And she's been getting shredded recently online for all these reports. Could you imagine if she got that Sark to the NFL story right? Oh, boy. If I'm Diana Rossini, I would take one big fat victory lap.
Eagles fans particularly very upset with her recently.
Yeah, that's true with the whole A.J. Brown stuff and everything. I lived in Philly. I love Philly. It doesn't take much to upset Eagles fans. Like, for a while, they said they wanted more to Carson Wentz. Donovan McNabb gets on my show and says, oh, if they don't see Wentz get to the conference championship game in 2 years, then people are going to run him out of town. And Donovan McNabb ended up being right, and he got shredded for that. Absolutely shredded for that on both WIP and 97.5 The Fanatics. So.
He's been a jackwagon since he got to Philadelphia.
Who was that? Was that Shep?
That was Carlos.
Oh, it sounded like Shep.
That's what I thought, too. It sounded like Shep.
Play that again?
He's been a jackwagon since he got to Philadelphia.
Now I see it now.
I don't know why. I thought that was Shep there for a second. You know, he's been a jackwagon ever since he got to Philadelphia.
I was going to say, I don't think Shep's like the nicest. I don't think he'd go with jackwagon.
Yeah. I would actually be proud of Shep if he called someone a jackwagon. All righty, what do we got here, Stu?
All right, there's still speculation regarding who will fill some of the biggest college football openings this offseason, which, of course, includes Penn State. Well, Josh Pate
is all over the Penn State cover.
He is on Josh Pate's college football show on Sunday. He gave his thoughts on the Penn State opening.
Persiani gets all fancy with these drops.
My guy on there is Matt Campbell, and I've spoken about Matt a lot on the show, but the people who push back on Matt Campbell as a legitimate candidate just floor me. Their reasons just floor me. Matt Campbell's a stud as a head coach. I think he is perfectly cut out for the Penn State job, like the edge, the grit, the attention to detail, the different way you have to sell Penn State. The understanding of placing premium on eval and development, the magnetism that the guys' programs have, how much discount players take to play for him, and staffers. Everything you would want in a Penn State coach he has.
All right, overreaction or proper reaction, Matt Campbell would be a good hire for Penn State.
I think Josh Pate is one of, if not the best voices covering college football. I do find it interesting we follow one another, how much we will both disagree on some things. I think Matt Campbell is a really, really, really good coach. I think Matt Campbell is a really, really nice guy. Something that always concerns me about Matt Campbell, I have a lot of respect for, is a few years ago when Iowa State was supposed to win the Big 12 championship, and I said this 10,000 times on this show, when it wasn't going his way, he said, those were never my expectations to win the Big 12. Well, you're getting thrown into the swamp that is Penn State. And in Happy Valley, you are now expected to win a national championship because they just got rid of a really good coach, but not a great coach. And I think it's the right decision. I think it was the right decision to move off of James Franklin because he wasn't doing well enough in the big games and he wasn't going to go win a national championship. So the coach that ran and hid for the expectations of winning the Big 12 is now going to get that job. It's possible. It is definitely possible. And maybe with more resources and maybe with a bigger profile job, he could go win a national championship there. But I wouldn't say it's a bad hire, but it's not a hire that would be making me jumping for joy. I think that I'd be more out than in on it. So asking this question, Matt Campbell would be a really good hire for Penn State. I think it's a lot of other people would say no for him to get the job. So I'm going to say that is a overreaction.
All right, last one here. On yesterday's show, we, of course, discussed the news of Virginia Tech hiring former Penn State head coach James Franklin to lead their program. Tech was a top program in the late 90s and early 2000s under Frank Beamer, but hasn't had a double-digit win season since 2016 and has just one since 2011. Overreaction or proper reaction, James Franklin will elevate Tech to a perennial top 10 to 15 program.
10 to 15 may be a little bit too rich. Can he have some years where he's in the top 10 and he's in the top 15, but perennial top 10 to 15? I would say no. I think they could be a perennial 20 to 25. I do think that 20 to 25, but 10 to 15 year in and year out, I think is a little bit too high even for Virginia Tech. So James Franklin will elevate Virginia Tech to a perennial top 10 to 15 program. I'm going to go slight overreaction. I think it's more 20 to 25. Alrighty, that's overreaction, proper reaction. This is Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
Quick question for you, Zach. Which out of those 8 questions, which were the ones that had audio cuts again?
I'm gonna assume 6 and 7. There we go.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Did you ever see the horse that died that just kept on getting beat?
Stu keeps lobbing these. Stu is giving me underhanded.
Do not blame me for this.
No, I'm just teasing you right there. So Stu will usually get thrown under the bus for anybody. That's the first time that Stu just like, yeah, I'm not getting associated with this. He's like, KP, I'm not jumping on the Titanic with you on this one. All righty, we'll take a break. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, I want to play you some audio that we did not get to in the news brief, something that Barry Alvarez said that I thought was very interesting. We will get to that quote, and that cut on the other time. And you also hear from Zach Taylor on the Jamar Chase spitting incident and suspension.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, here's the poll question today. You can find it on Twitter at Zach Gelb or at INF Sportsnet. Where will Lane Kiffin be coaching next season? Ole Miss, LSU, or Florida? Stu, what do you think the poll returns are on this one? Who do you think is in the lead? Who do you think is in second? Who do you think is in third?
Okay, I think Florida is third. I think they're kind of like a distant third behind LSU and Ole Miss. I'm going to guess it's Ole Miss slightly ahead of LSU.
Okay. Chris Persianen, how do you think you would order those up 1, 2, and 3?
Guessing what people voted?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go LSU 1 because people think change is exciting. I'm going to go Ole Miss 2, Florida 3, but I'm not going to say a distant 3. I'm going to say LSU 42% and Florida and Ole Miss share the rest.
Florida is at 19.8%. LSU is at 27.5%. Ole Miss at 52.7%. Now, you know what this tells me? It tells me two things. Number one, people agree with your boy. But really, I think this is people have Lane Kiffin fatigue. We went through this song and dance last year. He stayed. Right? We even went through it, I think, a few years before that with the Auburn stuff, if memory serves me right. He stayed. So now this is popping up again. Sure, it absolutely makes sense for Lane Kiffin to be the next head football coach at LSU. It absolutely makes sense for him to maybe consider Florida. But in this new era of name, image, and likeness of the transfer portal, if you have something working, if you have something humming, and you're going to be in the playoff, and you have alignment with the AD, the boosters are pumping in money for the NIL, does it really make sense to leave for Florida? I don't think so. Now, LSU, it does feel like a different juggernaut because of the fact that they've had 3 coaches win national championships since 2000. Nick Saban, Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron. But does Lane need to leave Ole Miss to go win a national championship at LSU? I don't think so. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he wins a national championship at Ole Miss. Right? He didn't even make the college football playoff last year at Ole Miss. He's going to make it this year. But Stu, I'll use your school as the latest example. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for what reason? He didn't think he could win a national championship at Notre Dame. He thought he had to go to who? LSU. Right? It's so easy peasy to win a national championship at LSU. And welcome into my Tiger family. And all of a sudden, right, you go win a national championship at LSU. Well, what's the job we're talking about that's open right now? LSU, Brian Kelly, out.
I'm here with my family.
Now, Marcus Freeman, Stu, got the job at Notre Dame, was elevated. And last year, they're in the college football playoff. They win. They go to the national championship where they lose to Ohio State. And this year, barring a disastrous performance against, what is it, Syracuse and Stanford, I think?
Yes.
You're going to be going off to the college football playoff again. So I wonder, like I'll say this. I could talk about this now because we briefly have talked about it on a podcast. Like I had conversations when I was in Lincoln, Nebraska with Matt Rule, when I was a guest of Matt Rule for the Northwestern game. And we talked about his future. And I've known Matt for years. And he was asking me my media opinion on the Penn State job and Nebraska. And he already made up his mind at that point. Now, he didn't tell me about it yet. And we had about a 30-minute conversation about it. And then the conversation ended with him telling me, hey, I'm staying at Nebraska. But when we were talking, this is just something that I brought up. I said, like, you look at a school like Nebraska, right? Nebraska is a school where the fan base is passionate. The fans like you right now. You're doing a heck of a job. And, like, if you would have said to me 5 years ago, do you leave Nebraska for Penn State? I would have said yes. But right now you have all the alignment. You have everything that you want right there. So why would you go to Penn State? And, you know, each situation, you bring up things. And I go, okay, at Nebraska, this is just something that I was talking about. And I said, Scott Frost was a legend there as a player. Now they can't stand him there because he was a disaster as a head coach. Like, you're a Penn Stater. You were a Penn Stater. If you go to Penn State and you don't succeed, and I'm not saying that he wouldn't succeed, eventually you get fired one day by your alma mater. Is that a taste that you could deal with in your mouth? So I look at, and the reason I'm bringing this up is I look at Lane Kiffin, even though it's not apples to apples here. Does Lane Kiffin maybe look at Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly and look at Brian Kelly and say, oh, well, Brian Kelly, you left something good for something that was viewed to be better, and then you're fired within, 3 or 4 years? So does Lane Kiffin sit there and say, hey, I'm going to stay at Ole Miss because I'm happy, and I'm not just go to LSU because maybe then I'll be the next Brian Kelly? It's just something that I bring up where I wonder if coaches view it that way. So that's just something that was in my thought process on this. But where will Lane Kiffin be coaching next year? I think it's really, I think go either way. I think it could be 50% he stays or 50% that he goes somewhere else. I wouldn't have thought that he would leave Ole Miss for Florida, maybe because of the Spurrier connection he does. If I'm him, if I'm leaving Ole Miss, I would go to LSU. But today, when I flip the coin up in the air and I go heads or tails, is Lane Kiffin going to be staying at Ole Miss? Heads, he stays. Tails, he goes. I think the coin today lands on heads. But I think people maybe two parts on this 53.3% that say he's going to stay at Ole Miss. And then 27.2% say LSU, 19.6% say Florida. I think the 53.3% maybe look at it and say, well, why would you leave if it's working right now in this name, image, and likeness era? And then other people, maybe they're just fatigued out when it just comes to, a 2 or 3 year song and dance on, is Lane Kiffin going to stay or is he going to go? Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. Let me just play you this real quickly. This was on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. Then I'll get to this Barry Alvarez thing that I teased that I want to get to. So there's a report from On3 that Ole Miss gave Lane Kiffin an ultimatum, and it's the day of the Egg Bowl. They need to tell him if he's going to be back at Ole Miss or not next year. Lane Kiffin was asked about this, was on Pat McAfee, and this is what he had to say about that ultimatum.
That's absolutely not true. There's been no ultimatum, anything like that at all. And so I don't know where that came from, like a lot of stuff that comes out there. Like I said, man, we're having a blast. I love it here. I mean, our running back's sitting right over here. Come on over. And it just couldn't be better. Like I said, you pray for things. Our fans prayed for this type of thing, and now we're in the middle of it. So enjoy it. You're 10-1. You're getting ready. You got a bye week. You get to watch half the country lose, and there's no way we can lose Saturday. And then you play the Egg Bowl and go dominate that and keep that Egg Bowl trophy home where it's been for a long time.
So, yeah, it's not true. And then you do all these things to try to dress it up as if you just want to get away from that question. I don't know if Ole Miss has issued an ultimatum to him or not. Even if they did, I think either Ole Miss or Lane Kiffin wants us out there. And something just tells me that Ole Miss, if they were fearful that they were going to lose Lane, let me just operate that Ole Miss did issue this ultimatum. If they were fearful that they're going to lose Lane, would you really go to him and say, hey, we need a decision by this date? You know, maybe you could because, okay, then the next coach got to get in there and you got to find someone, you got to go through your process. But what are you trying to do everything with the way that he brought the program and the level he brought the program to just suck up to this guy and not pressure him into making a decision when there is a very good chance that he still stays? Or maybe Lane just wants us out there because it's good when your name is in the news like this, and then you could use this to your advantage. Hey, I passed up on Florida. I passed up on Ole Miss. 2 schools in our conference because I think we have something better here at Ole Miss. I just think he's staying right now. And maybe tomorrow I wake up and I think differently because yesterday I thought he was leaving. Now, Barry Alvarez was on ESPN Wisconsin, and he ripped into the notion that Wisconsin's goal is now to get where Illinois is right now. This is Barry Alvarez talking to ESPN Wisconsin. Listen up.
Guys, do you think that Coach Fickell can get Wisconsin to where Illinois is now with Coach Bielema and surpass it?
Absolutely where Illinois is, for sure. I mean, if he could get there, he could get to the next level too. But, to get there is going to take some work, and we got to recruit the state, and we got to keep those guys in the state, as Coach said. And then we got to, pull the right pieces together.
I would hope that our expectation would be, no, Illinois has not done what Wisconsin's done. Like, what in the hell? Like, no.
That's
we
almost
go back
a
to where we
humiliating
were.
question. That's actually an embarrassing question.
Yeah,
humiliating
I don't like it, Jesse.
Yeah, but did he say what Wisconsin?
You, Jesse.
I waited until he was across the country to ask him this question.
Yeah. You asked if we could get to where they are.
Can we get to where Illinois is? Because right now they are ahead of us. Do we not agree they're ahead of us right now?
Right now, yes. But they have done nothing. Nothing.
And plus, we could beat them. Potentially. I mean, I'm telling you, like, if we play like we did against Indiana, I think we could beat them.
I do too.
So under Brett Bielema in the last 4 years, I'd always been there for 5 years, but the last 4 years, Illinois has been 8-5, 5-7, 10-3, and right now they're 7-3. So I think the way that question was asked is what Illinois has really done the last 2 seasons. I think that's the intention. Because if you're Wisconsin, you're not winning a national championship anytime soon. Right? Like, that's not the goal at Wisconsin. But if you could be 10-3, and let's see what they finish up this year, Illinois, but they're 7-3 right now, you would take that success. Because the last time I checked, here's been your record. The last time you had 10 wins was 2019. So since then, you were 4-3. That was the COVID year. 9-4. That was your last, really good season. And you were 7-6, 7-6, 5-7, and 3-7. So, yeah, the short-term goal for Wisconsin, I don't think it's crazy to say, can we do what Illinois has done the last 2 seasons? Where you're not great, but you're just good. Can you get to that? Can Luke Fickell ever get to that? I know Luke Fickell's coming back. I know Luke Fickell took Cincinnati to the college football playoff. But if your answer to that question is that Luke Fickell can't do that, then why is Luke Fickell still the head football coach? If you don't think he could eventually get to 10-3, and then this year they're 7-3, maybe you could increase that and finish off the year, 9-3, and then maybe you go win a bowl game. And you go back-to-back 10-win seasons. So when was the last time Wisconsin? Yeah. They had back-to-back double-digit win seasons was 2017 and 2016 when Paul Chris was there. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We will grade the first-year head coaches in the NFL when we return. Update time first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. The Steelers are holding out hope. They'll have Aaron Rodgers Sunday. Their quarterback does not need surgery on his fractured left wrist. A decision on his status will be made on Friday. The Texans have a short week and have ruled out quarterback C.J. Stroud, who misses another game due to a concussion. The Pistons are off to the best start in the East at 12-2 and go for their 11th straight tonight in Atlanta. While LeBron James remains the NBA's biggest star even at age 40 and could return to the Lakers tonight when they host the Jazz. James practiced yesterday after missing the first 14 games with sciatica. Head coach J.J. Redick said they're going to be cautious with the Kings.
I know he's itching to play and itching to return. What his minutes look like, that's another factor. So we'll make a decision. We got to see how he responds to today and what he feels like tomorrow morning. But whenever it is, we're excited to get him back.
L.A. is off to a nice start at 10-4. Kansas won't have star freshman Darren Peterson tonight against Duke as he remains out with a hamstring injury. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is Rich Eisen. Get all your sports talk on The Rich Eisen Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Let me just verify this information. But I just want to see if what is being speculated is true. What do you? If you guys had to take a guess, Michigan, Ohio State, which is Thanksgiving weekend on that Saturday. It's Ohio State at Michigan. Ohio State's 10-0. Michigan is 8-2 right now. What do you think the early line is for Ohio State, Michigan, where it's tough for me to keep track because they've owned Ryan Day. I think it's 4 in a row. Where it may be 5. No, I think it's 4. 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, it's 4 in a row. 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. I know the answer, actually, to that question. It is 4 in a row. What do you think the early line is? Michigan has not been good this year, only though they have 2 losses. In any big game, they have not played well. You know, maybe you could say Nebraska. But Ohio State has been a juggernaut. What do you think the opening line is? Ohio State at Michigan 2 Saturdays from now. Stu, take a guess.
Let's say 11.5.
In favor of the Buckeyes.
Yes.
Okay. KP.
They're at Michigan or at Ohio State?
They're at Michigan.
At Michigan? Give me...
Because remember last year, Ohio State, Michigan beat them, and Michigan planted the flag in the middle of the horseshoe.
Yes.
And then all those Ohio State fans, those babies, well, you can't do that. And all the politicians, we got to change the rules.
legislation. Give me 9.5. I don't feel strongly about that. Give me 8.5. 8.5 final answer. I'm done waffling.
Right now, it is 9.5. 9.5.
Should have stuck with his original guess. He was right. He nailed it.
When he's saying that, I'm just like looking at the computer screen because I didn't want to make eye contact with Chris Persianen, who may have just, or not, mooned the camera right there. But it is 9.5. Now, the reason why I wanted to verify it, some like Michigan fan that I follow is like, oh, the spread's 3.5. And I was like, that don't make no sense. And then I saw that it's up to 9.5. So I forget who that was that said it was 3.5, but it is 9.5 is the early spread. What are your thoughts on that game early? Ohio State, Michigan, Ryan Day. He has had the Michigan kryptonite last year. I don't know how the heck Michigan won that game. But Justice Haynes is not going to be playing in that game for Michigan, so that's big because of the fact how much Michigan likes to run the ball. But I'll tell you, Michigan this year, they're an 8-2 team that really hasn't accomplished much. And Bryce Underwood, you know, he's been fine, but I thought he'd be better. Jordan Marshall's having a nice season. Justice Haynes was, like, if Haynes was playing, man, Marshall and Haynes, line them up, and they could beat Ohio State. But without Haynes, I think it's going to be really difficult. But Bryce Underwood, you haven't really seen him be the quarterback that we thought he was going to be this year. Like, he's not being disastrous, but he hasn't really popped off. Imagine if they put lipstick on a pig on this season and Underwood goes off and he was just waiting for the game to do so. I do think, let me be honest, I think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan this year. I do. I don't want them to, but I think that they will. Stu, what's your early read on that game?
I mean, I will say it is the first time since Texas that Ohio State will really play like a good opponent. I not to disparage any of the other Big Ten teams, but, I mean, this will probably be their biggest test going on the road to Michigan since that Texas game, and that's a long time. That's like 3.5 months.
They played Grambling. They played Ohio. They played Washington, Minnesota. Illinois was in the top 20 then, but Wisconsin, Penn State, Purdue, and UCLA. They play Rutgers this weekend.
Right. Big bad records.
Chop.
I think Ohio State wins, but I do think it's not going to be some blowout where they win by 20 points. Like, it's going to be a close game at some point, second half, and maybe they'll pull away and win by like 10, 13 points. But I think it'll be a good game.
KP, Ohio State, Michigan. What would be your gambling take on this one? Would you be laying those 10.5 or 9.5 points, whatever it was?
That feels like a lot. And with both of these teams being, let me say, charged going into this rivalry, but
Mhm.
also with Ohio State being so much better than Michigan, I might even go as far as to say, like, you're better off teasing the Buckeyes and the under and just betting against these offenses.
Tease them up?
Buckeyes,
Yeah.
and then tease the under up. But get Buckeyes like the extra point.
Are you saying go like 17.5 or 16.5?
No, the other way.
Oh, the other way.
Tease
down.
Tease so that they only have to win by like 4.
Gotcha. I was saying like, geez, Percy Iden. I go, do you
No.
know who their coach is?
The-
That guy's won a national championship, but he can't beat Michigan.
The alt spread is for like Knicks Nets on a Sunday at the Garden when no one cares. And
Gotcha. I was just wondering which way you're going. All right, real quickly, let's grade some first-year head coaches in the NFL. Stu, you give me the coach. I'll tell you what the grade is.
All right, let's start with my guy, Pete Carroll, in his first year with the Raiders.
D. It's been disappointing. I can't say I'm surprised. Chip Kelly shouldn't be an offensive coordinator of the NFL. Geno Smith's been a disaster. I give it a D.
All right, what about your guy, Mike Vrabel?
A+. It's been sensational. The Patriots, I guess I got my swagger back. Ooh. It's been unbelievable. Drake May, fantastic. But more importantly, you got an adult back on the sideline, and I'm a big fan of the culture that Mike Vrabel brings to the football team.
Okay, what about Samter's guy, Aaron Glenn?
They've won 2 games, and that guy has more fights with the media than he does wins on a football field. I will give him a D-.
All right, what about someone who's went from offensive coordinator of the Lions to head coach of the Bears, Ben Johnson?
I'm going to give him an A-. Now, I was very critical of him earlier on in the season. I find him to be insufferable, but the Bears are winning games that they usually lose. And
Da Bears.
Yeah, the Bears indeed. They are 7-3, so give me an A- for Ben Johnson.
All right, what about Kellen Moore in his first year with the Saints?
They have no talent. They've been competitive in games. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's wonderful. Like, Pete Carroll and Aaron Glenn, to me, is more offensive than what Kellen Moore's doing this year. So I'll give him like a C-.
Okay, what about the other coach from last night's game, Brian Schottenheimer?
C. I actually like Brian Schottenheimer. I thought that was just a hire that only the Cowboys would make it. When you trade Micah Parsons before the start of the season, that's very tough to recover from. They've been an average football team. I would actually go. I'm going to give him a C+. I think I just gave him a C. I give him a C+. Maybe even make it a B-. I'll go C+ there. The offense has been playing really well. The defense, there's nothing you could do about it when you trade Micah Parsons like that. And I'll tell you, it was really touching last night, the way that he addressed the team in the locker room after the game, especially with what they had to go through. Brian Schottenheimer, to me, they've been average, but I don't really know what else you could be expecting when you trade Micah Parsons a week before the season starts.
All right, and last one, Mr. Duval himself, Liam Cohen.
Yeah, I think he's tough to grade.
Duval.
Because I look at them like they're 6-4, but I don't think they're some great team. But they just beat the snot out of the Chargers. I'll give him a B+. We all thought he was going to be an unmitigated disaster at that press conference. 6-4 is very respectable, especially when your quarterback hasn't been good. So I will give Liam Cohen Duval a B+. All right, that will do it for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network today. Big thanks to Terrell McCall and Tyrann Mathieu for joining us in the same segment. Good luck on their podcast. KP, Chris Persianen, thank you so much. Stuart Kovacs, thank you so much. Most importantly, big thanks to each and every one of you. Thank you to everyone that called in today. And listen, however you may do so. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Wednesday right here on the Infinity Sports Network. This is the Zach Gelb Show. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.